Doulou Dalu, the power of a book. Hey, fanfic family. So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction, so don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 201, The Split of Shrek Academy. With so many students at Shrek Academy, hasn't anyone received a martial arts inheritance? Tang San's face was heavy. Shrek Academy is now merged into Blue Tyrant Academy. The students originally from Blue Tyrant Academy are still at Shrek Academy, and they count as Shrek students. Blue Tyrant Academy. If the Wisdom Palace completely targets Shrek Academy, it will face immense pressure and lose a lot of credibility among the Commoner Spirit Master class. Liu Erlong's expression was complicated, and she sighed deeply. The ordinary students have not been targeted. They have all joined the Wisdom Palace and learned various techniques such as internal strength. They have even found their own martial spirit development paths and training directions within the Wisdom Palace. Now, each of them is fully immersed in cultivation, striving to master those techniques in the shortest time possible. Currently, most of the students in the academy are still Spirit Grandmasters or Spirit Masters. If they can master internal strength, external strength, and successfully cultivate the body tempering technique, and even add Spirit Ascension method, their future Spirit Master cultivation path will be completely different. In the past, there was no concept of laying a foundation in Douluo land, but now with Su Wen's Spirit Ascension method and body tempering technique, higher grade Poor Spirit rings have essentially become the foundation. Even those with talent can achieve heights far beyond what their original talent could support if they are willing to put in the hard work. By continuously surpassing the normal absorption limits of each spirit ring and evolving their martial spirit repeatedly, they can reach levels previously unattainable for them. Now in Shrek Academy, many students are diligently cultivating various techniques and have no time to pay attention to the Shrek 7 devils. Moreover, benefiting from the Wisdom Palace, they are quite resentful towards the Shrek 7 devils, especially towards Tang San, who is seen as the root cause of the unusual attitude other Spirit Masters have towards Shrek Academy. How effective is the internal strength? Yu Zhigang asked. Liu Erlong hesitated for a moment before reporting the collected data. Almost all the students in the academy have started cultivating internal strength, but only 10 have truly mastered the complete soul power circulation of internal strength. According to them, after cultivating internal strength, their overall cultivation speed has increased more than 5-fold. 5-fold? That exaggerated. Yu Zhigang's brow furrowed tighter, finding it hard to accept such a large gap. This is 5-fold. Liu Erlong shook her head and said, it's different. The students in our academy are all commoner spirit masters, and most of them previously cultivated using ordinary mid-level meditation methods. Although they have become more accustomed to them through self-exploration, they are still far inferior to high-level meditation methods. If the most basic meditation efficiency of a spirit master is 10, a low-level meditation method can increase this efficiency to 11 or 12, and a mid-level meditation method can raise it to about 15. As for high-level meditation methods, the top-tier ones can increase efficiency to nearly 30, with typical ones around 20. Every high-level meditation method requires perfection by at least a Spirit Saint-level expert and often takes multiple generations to perfect. Currently, cultivating Su Wen's internal strength can boost soul power cultivation speed to over 50, close to 60. It's terrifying. In terms of improving cultivation efficiency, it is several times that of high-level meditation methods. If one cultivates both internally and externally, it might indeed achieve the 10-fold gap that Su Wen mentioned. However, only the cultivation speed of soul power has increased. The soul power bottlenecks still exist, Liu Erlong added. According to the theories within the Wisdom Palace, Spirit Master cultivation is divided into the soul power accumulation phase and the breakthrough bottleneck phase. The breakthrough bottleneck phase can also be termed the adjustment period or adaptation period from different perspectives. Every level of cultivation for a Spirit Master involves these two processes. Genius Spirit Masters with higher quality martial spirits find both soul power cultivation and bottleneck breakthroughs much easier, which is why their cultivation speed is several times that of ordinary Spirit Masters. Internal strength enhances the efficiency of the soul power accumulation phase, but with faster soul power accumulation, even when encountering bottlenecks, The constant impact of internal strength will make breaking through bottlenecks faster. Overall, considering both phases, internal strength can only double the overall cultivation speed of a spirit master, not fivefold. Hearing this, Yu Zhigang finally breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it was just a doubling. Even though doubling is already quite terrifying, combining internal and external cultivation might only add another multiple, 3 times. No wonder Su Wen could rapidly advance from level 20 to level 50 in just 6 years. With these 2 techniques, it can actually be considered it's still exaggerated, but it falls within the range of what a genius can achieve. The techniques only improve the efficiency of the soul power accumulation phase. Although they can slightly affect the pace of breaking through bottlenecks, the effect is not as significant as the improvement in soul power accumulation, Liu Erlong continued. Therefore, the Wisdom Palace also has a technique to accelerate the bottleneck adjustment, called the Spirit Fusion Technique. Yu Zhiagang's heart sank. So comprehensive. If these techniques were indeed developed step by step by Su Wen for his own cultivation, it would be an incredibly terrifying achievement. Solving cultivation difficulties from all aspects down. Starting from theory, breaking realms, and addressing the issues of each realm from different angles, thereby maximizing the speed of cultivation. Such a complete system must be the opportunity Su Wen obtained, just like how Tang San acquired ancient texts and learned the mysterious heaven skill along with many other techniques. Yu Zhigang was convinced that Su Wen also obtained something through a stroke of luck. Is there any hope of obtaining the complete external strength and internal strength from other students? Yu Zhigang asked. Liu Erlong looked troubled. The inheritance is directly infused into their memories. They can understand it, but to completely replicate the meridians within their bodies and map out the circulation routes would take a considerable amount of time. Yu Zhigang understood from this response. It's possible, but no student would cooperate. What about the family? Given Xianheng's relationship with Su Wen, they should have obtained the internal strength inheritance by now, right? He could only pin his hopes on the family. Liu Erlong remained silent for a long time, glancing at the Shrek 7 devils, her gaze lingering a bit longer on Tang San. Tang San's heart sank. Liu Erlong's reaction clearly indicated that the results from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan were not favorable. At least, it wasn't good news for him. Zhigang, Uncle wants you to return to the family to receive the internal strength inheritance. Return to the family? Yu Zhigang looked distressed. He understood the implication. Once he returned to the family, he probably wouldn't be able to leave. It would also mean giving up on Shrek and abandoning Tang San as his disciple. Xianzhen is my only disciple. I can't give him up, Yu Zhigang said, patting Tang San on the shoulder and walking away with him. Watching the teacher and students leave, Flender sighed and had to make a decision. Children, get ready. We're going out again. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 202, Su Wen's Message to Shrek. 3 months after the Spirit Master competition ended, Su Wen began to establish the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge in the newly constructed branch of Wisdom Palace. 4 months later, under the leadership of the Golden Iron Triangle, the Shrek 7 Devils left Heaven Dao City. 6 months passed, and they arrived in Suachuo City in a rather sorry state headquarters. 1. The staff responsible for welcoming the members of Shrek Academy proudly introduced the facilities of the Suachuo City branch of Wisdom Palace. Before leaving, Su Wen named the Central Hall Knowledge Hall and the 36 rooms were named 36 Study Halls. Flender and the others were led to Knowledge Hall. Everyone, this is our Knowledge Hall, the core of Wisdom Palace. The books over there represent the core of our Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge. After injecting soul power and receiving your respective spirit seal, you can freely enter the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge space using your spirit seal. Who would like to go first? Flender and the others looked at each other. They had previously understood the process of this new version of the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge, and now they looked at each other. Yu Zhigang stepped forward and said, I'll go first. He approached the glowing book floating in front of him and infused it with soul power. Shortly after, a page fell from the book. The page did not transform into the appearance of his martial arts spirit Luo Sanpao. Yu Zhigang frowned, thinking it was due to mutation of his martial spirit, and didn't pay much attention to the form of this spirit seal. However, when he clearly saw the content on the page, his face immediately turned sour. His face turned ashen. What's wrong, Zhigang? Flender and Liu Erlong stepped forward, looking at the page in Yu Zhiagang's hand. They saw the few words on it and their faces turned equally ashen with anger. There were only 4 words on the page. Go eat shit. 3. Glancing at the content on the page, the person in charge of guiding the Shrek group also had a change in his expression. He was no longer wearing his previous friendly expression. Instead, his face was filled with hostility. Are you from Shrek? Sorry, but we don't welcome you here, he said in a cold tone. At the same time, other spirit masters and staff who were seeing Wisdom Palace for the first time gathered around with similar attitudes. Upon understanding the situation, surrounding spirit masters began to reject the Shrek group one after another. Uzziah Gang stood in the center of Knowledge Hall, being pointed at and discussed by numerous spirit masters. His face was pale with anger as he glanced around at everyone, noticing their hostile and disdainful gazes. He felt embarrassed and infuriated at the same time. Su Wen. How could you be so against them? How did he manage it? They were just receiving spirit seals. How did he identify their identities? Master Wen's ideal is to promote the development of the Spirit Master world and spread knowledge, but it doesn't mean he will share it with everyone. Yeah, Master Wen is selfless, imparting knowledge to all Spirit Masters, but he's also human. You enemies have the nerve to come to Master Wen's Wisdom Palace to steal techniques. That's right. Fortunately, Master Wen recently upgraded the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge. Otherwise, these people might really have stolen our techniques. Spirit Masters condemned the shameless Shrek group one by one. At this moment, Flender and the others' faces were extremely grim, their soul power fluctuations faintly visible, seemingly on the verge of erupting and giving these Spirit Masters a thorough lesson. Uzziah again tightly held on to Flender and Liu Erlong's hands, urging them not to act rashly. Even though Uzziah Gang himself was seeing things with anger, he knew he couldn't escalate conflict here with the people of Wisdom Palace. This was Wisdom Palace, and everyone here could be considered a disciple of Wisdom Palace. Moreover, across the continent, there were countless Wisdom Palace disciples. In almost every place where Wisdom Palace was established, the majority of Spirit Masters were disciples of Wisdom Palace. Once conflict erupted within Wisdom Palace, it would mean hostility with over 90% of Spirit Masters on the continent. The Shrek group left the Wisdom Palace in Suachuo City dejectedly. However, this was not the end. The exposure of their identities was bound to attract repeated assassination attempts. After all, 100,000-year spirit bone is too tempting. Blazing City. Su Wen has been opening up Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge all the way. Huh? Did Uzziah Gang and Tang San really shamelessly go to other branches to steal techniques? Upon receiving the news, Su Wen immediately felt disdain towards their actions. Fortunately, before leaving Suachuo City and arriving at the second city to set up Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge, he received a message from Heaven Dao City, learning about the treatment Shrek Tang San and others received there. Upon being reminded, he promptly upgraded the technology of Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge. There were no other restrictions, it was simply that injecting soul power into the books by Shrek 7 Devils and Golden Iron Triangle would not produce a spirit seal. Su Wen had once collected their blood and replicated their martial spirits. The spirit seal itself is a replication of the Spirit Master's martial spirit. Once replicated onto Shrek 7 Devils and others, it naturally triggered Su Wen's preparations. Of course, there are countless martial spirits, some overlapping. Therefore, Su Wen's setup also has specificity. Even with the same martial spirit, differences arise under different Spirit Masters' cultivation. Thus, only 10 people were targeted. Wait, there are also all direct descendants of Clear Sky sect who inherited the Clear Sky Hammer martial spirit. It can be said that among the major mountains of books and sea of knowledge across the continent today, only the headquarters of Wisdom Palace in Heaven Dao City still poses opportunities. However, that place is the headquarters. Su Wen had long arranged a capable team there with the best order maintenance, managed by core members of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect. It can be said that neither Clear Sky sect nor the Shrek 10 have the opportunity to enter the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge. Xiaoan, we've finally arrived at our Blazing City, Ho Xianyang greeted warmly, leading Su Wen towards the branch of Wisdom Palace. You don't know, our Spirit Masters in Blazing City have been eagerly awaiting your arrival to establish the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge. There's no helping it. They are just too eager to learn, too eager to progress. It's evident that Ho Xianyang feels the pressure. Due to his close relationship with Su Wen, many strong individuals from Blazing City approached him, asking him to help contact Su Wen and expedite the establishment of the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge. Ho Xianyang himself is quite anxious. He has his own descendants. Ho Wusheng and Ho Wu are now both spirit ancestors. Although they missed the first 4 spirit rings, they can still enjoy the benefits of Su Wen's many techniques. After all, soul power is the foundation. For Ho Wusheng and Ho Wu, martial spirit evolution comes second. Their martial spirits are already top-notch, so the speed of their cultivation is the most important for them. Uncle Yang, I know you're in a hurry, but please don't rush, Su Wen said helplessly. Establishing the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge also consumes energy. Although he repeatedly opens up illusory spaces, Su Wen's understanding of space and his mastery of opening the world in a book for earth, fire, water, and wind have become deeper. However, the tedious life that lasted for 3 full months has also left him spiritually exhausted. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 203, Ho Xianyang's sense of urgency. Despite saying so, Su Wen still followed Ho Xianyang to Blazing Cities with some palace without delay. Blazing Cities with some palace. Inside and outside the Knowledge Hall, a large number of spirit masters had already gathered. They patiently waited in line, casting respectful gazes towards Su Wen, eagerly anticipating the moment when they would witness him opening the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge. Witnessing such a scene in Blazing City, the first time seeing so many spirit masters showing such reverence to a single person. Even during the final of the Spirit Master competition, the countless spectators below showed no more than this level of respect toward the Pope, right? The little guy from back then has now become a teacher to spirit masters across the continent. At this moment, Ho Xianyang recalled scenes of Su Wen traveling and studying Fiery Heavenly Sun at Blazing Academy 2.5 years ago. Let's begin. Su Wen repeated the process of opening the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge. The formation took shape, linking the 36 study halls with a core space of Knowledge Hall, and the Spirit Seal Scrolls successfully condensed. Alright everyone, you can now inject soul power into the Spirit Seal Scrolls to receive your respective Spirit Seals. Thank you, Master Wen. The Spirit Masters present expressed their gratitude to Su Wen, proceeding orderly to receive their Spirit Seals. Su Wen took a deep breath and left Knowledge Hall, following Ho its normal. All the Spirit Xianyang to Blazing Academy. Xiao, take care of yourself too. During the process of opening the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge, Ho Xianyang also sensed that Su Wen seemed to be in a poor state. Seal scrolls are constructed based on my martial spirit. It means that all the spaces within the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge are supported by my martial spirit. Many of the projections are rooted in my visualized world, although Su Wen utilized the technique of fire seed condensation to strip and solidify the Spirit Seal Scrolls, allowing them to absorb external energy to sustain their operation. Ultimately, everything originated from him. Furthermore, in order to eventually open the virtual world, Su Wen wouldn't let these Spirit Seal Scrolls be detached from his control. Therefore, he was constantly overseeing the operation of dozens of Wisdom Palaces, Mountain of Books, and Sea of Knowledge. Although it was very draining, Su Wen saw this as a way to hone his spiritual power. As long as he persisted, once the virtual world was successfully opened and these burdens were lifted, his spiritual power would surely make rapid advancements, breaking through certain bottlenecks. Uncle Yang, this is the book of 10,000 techniques, pages I've condensed based on my own insights. They can temporarily impart the spirit skills engraved within to the target. Among these pages, I've engraved the 4 fundamental spirit skills of the Fiery Heavenly Sun. Let Ho Wusheng and Ho Wu experience these spirit skills several times through these pages. Perhaps they can also master these 4 spirit skills in the form of self-created spirit skills. When the time comes, come back to me, and by then, I should have perfected this ability enough to match the level of engraving within the Fiery Heavenly Sun. Ho Xianyang took a deep breath and accepted the stack of pages from Su Wen's hands. I thank you on behalf of Ho Wusheng and Xiao Wu, he said. Su Wen waved his hand dismissively, indicating it was nothing. The Fiery Heavenly Sun was Su Wen's first master domain, playing a crucial role in his development of the world in a book domain and many other areas. It was not merely inspiration, The framework of Su Wen's world inner book domain was actually based on the fiery heavenly sun domain. However, Su Wen replaced basic spirit skills like brilliant sun and added many other foundational spirit skills, making the entire world inner book domain more comprehensive. Uncle Yang, once you retire, you'll be assuming the role of elder at Wisdom Palace, so consider these as early offerings for you, Ho Xianyang chuckled. You brats still remember to pull Uncle Yang into Wisdom Palace, he said. Hey, after all, being able to create your own domain techniques as a spirit Douluo, you're quite strong, he added. HMPH, of course. That Xiaozhan guy just took advantage of some opportunities, Ho Xianyang muttered. He would never admit that his inability to defeat Xiaozhan was due to the himself. Ha ha ha, indeed, Uncle Zhan can maintain an absolute advantage among peers, thanks to the quality of his soul power, Su Wen said approvingly. So, Uncle Yang, although you haven't retired yet, you could join Wisdom Palace as an elder for now. Since Wisdom Palace has established so many branches, you could oversee Blazing City Wisdom Palace while you're at the academy. Ho Xianyang didn't hesitate and accepted Su Wen's proposal. Since you're overseeing one area anyway, why don't you? Ho Xianyang noticed that Su Wen was pushing his luck. Don't worry, Uncle Yang. I'm just giving you a heads up in advance. For now, you only need to oversee Blazing City Wisdom Palace. But when Wisdom Palace construction reaches its final realm, I would like to ask you to oversee the entire Wisdom Palace Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge. What does that mean? Ho Xianyang looked at Su Wen with confusion. Oversee the entire Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge? Distributed wisdom palaces everywhere are difficult to manage. With so many mountains of books and sea of knowledge, Wisdom Palace could easily be controlled by local overlords and become a series of privately owned wisdom palaces. That's what we want to avoid, Su Wen explained. Upon hearing Su Wen's words, Ho Xianyang felt relieved. It seemed that Su Wen had thought through this issue. So, how do you plan to solve this? Ho Xianyang asked, although he already had an answer in mind. We will integrate a mountain of books and sea of knowledge in each wisdom palace, creating a space that connects all wisdom palaces across the continent. Spirit masters will not only be able to enter this shared mountain of books and sea of knowledge for learning, but also communicate across cities and regions, Su Wen explained. Su Wen looked at Ho Xianyang with a faint smile on his face. Uncle Yang, what do you think of my idea? Ho Xianyang had been catching his breath for a while now. He had only considered bringing all the mountains of books and sea of knowledge under control, but he hadn't thought of completely merging them into one that connects all wisdom palaces across the continent. Once this is achieved, as Su Wen said, anywhere on the continent where there is a wisdom palace, people can communicate by entering the mountain of books and sea of knowledge. This goes beyond breaking barriers of knowledge. Su Wen aims to break barriers of distance, break geographical restrictions, break so many other restrictions. At the same time, Ho Xianyang understood what Su Wen meant by overseeing the entire Wisdom Palace mountain of books and sea of knowledge. It's exactly as it sounds. In the future Wisdom Palace, there will only be one mountain of books and sea of knowledge space, and managing this space will undoubtedly require someone of considerable stature to oversee it. Suddenly, Ho Xianyang felt pressured. After all, he is just a spirit Douluo. With the strength of Wisdom Palace, the task of overseeing the core mountain of books and sea of knowledge space, even if entrusted to title Douluo, would be excessive. However, Su Wen was still preparing to entrust this task to him. Well, I should really practice diligently. Ho Xianyang felt a sense of urgency rising in his heart. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 204, Plans for the Great Spirit Arena. Ho Xianyang felt that if he didn't break through to title Douluo in a short time, he would completely let down Su Wen's trust in him. Indeed, that was the case. In sanctuaries like Wisdom Palace, the person overseeing the core virtual world, if unable to reach title Douluo status, would find it difficult to establish a deterrent force being openly shared. He felt that reaching title Douluo was not without hope. Balancing internal and external cultivation not only accelerated the accumulation of soul power but also, for a spirit master like Ho Xianyang who had practiced for half a lifetime, it was a comprehensive integration, a perfect consolidation for the operation of his own soul power lacking by quite a bit. Su Wen consciously created techniques to integrate his soul power circulation, whereas spirit masters in Douluo continent in the past merely used soul power circulation routes as convenient ways to practice, albeit effective. After all, a fixed soul power circulation is better for maintenance than letting soul power dissipate freely. Therefore, even as a spirit Douluo, Ho Xianyang's organization was limited to his own abilities and rarely integrated into soul power circulation. Similar to old Jerry back then, who was stuck at level 9 for who knows how long, after practicing Su Wen's internal strength, he immediately broke through to level 10. Ho Xianyang might also be able to break through the current bottleneck and reach level 86 with the opportunity provided by introductory techniques. Combining external strength and internal strength, along with the spirit fusion technique, under multiple overlays, even for a spirit Douluo, there is an overall 3 to 4 times increase in training speed. In this case, 1 year would be equivalent to at least 3 years. Ho Xianyang feels that achieving 1 level of advancement per year should be achievable for him. With this, recalculating his physical condition, he could potentially strive for level 90 before his bodily functions begin to decline. For spirit masters, time has always been crucial. If one misses the rapid advancement of soul power before the ages of 30 and 20, spirit masters can only hope to reach higher realms before their physical condition declines with age. Otherwise, once the body weakens, although soul power does not stop progressing entirely, its efficiency will significantly decrease. Currently, Su Wen's techniques also present an opportunity for many spirit masters in their prime years. After leaving Blazing City, it took Su Wen about 3 more months to finally complete the opening of the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge in various major cities within the Heaven Dao Empire. At this moment, his spiritual power was constantly under considerable pressure. After absorbing the spirit ring of the Dark Devilga Tiger, my soul power reached level 62, approaching level 63. Now, half a year later, I have also broken through to level 64, half a year for 2 levels, but the actual situation cannot be simplified like this. After absorbing the spirit ring of the Dark Devilga Tiger, Su Wen actually broke through to level 63 within a month. It took him 5 more months to reach level 64. As his soul power level continued to rise, Su Wen's cultivation speed inevitably began to decline. However, even so, his cultivation speed far exceeded that of an ordinary spirit master. Based on the cultivation speed of ordinary spirit masters, it is considered fast to advance 1 level every 1 or 2 years after reaching Spirit Emperor. However, Su Wen can advance 2 levels in 1 year. Moreover, this is based on his intentional compression of soul power. Before reaching level 70, the conditions for soul power solidification increase exponentially. Su Wen sighed. However, he did not think this would delay his soul power cultivation. Identifying and solving problems. If soul power cultivation is slow, find the obstacles to its improvement at its essence and then find ways to resolve them. Previously, Su Wen solved the problem of slow soul power cultivation speed from 2 perspectives, the accumulation period of soul power and breakthrough periods of bottlenecks. Now, he has added a special situation, wasting energy due to compressing soul power. The visualized world has the characteristic of condensing spiritual power, projecting it onto soul power, and also has a condensing effect. However, now the pressure on my visualized world is too great, I'll have to wait a bit. Actually, he has already found a solution, using the visualized world to condense soul power continuously. This way, Su Wen's cultivation speed will return to normal, about 3 levels per year. However, due to projecting too many mountains of books and sea of knowledge, the visualized world is under immense pressure. Therefore, Su Wen can only endure for a while longer. Heaven Dao City. Uncle Ning, how is the construction of the Wisdom Palace in Starluo going? Su Wen's most urgent task now is to complete the systematic establishment of the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge and open the virtual world. Only Starluo Empire is left. Ning Fengzi looked at the fatigue in Su Wen's eyes and felt worried. Xiaoan, why don't you take a rest for a while? Su Wen shook his head and said, my issue isn't that serious. Even if I rest, it won't make things easier. I can only finish setting up the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge as soon as possible to solve the problem from the root. Ning Fengzi understood from Su Wen's words that the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge was putting pressure on him. This was actually normal and expected. The construction of wisdom palaces across the entire continent, how many wisdom palaces were there? Hundreds, indeed. Ning Fengzi could handle constantly amplifying the abilities of hundreds of spirit masters, but to do so continuously was something he couldn't endure. It was an unimaginable enormous expenditure. They're already being urged by the Starluo royal family, he began, briefing Su Wen on the situation in the Starluo Empire. Douluo Empire is militarily managed, emphasizing strength. Its layout differs from Heavendao Empire, with major cities not as dispersed. Setting up the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge there should be easier. However, before setting up the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge, you may need to make a trip to the Douluo Royal Palace. Ningfengzi advised Su Wen to rest first so he could go in full strength. Although the likelihood of Douluo taking action against Su Wen was minimal, it couldn't be disregarded. Well, I'll depart for the Douluo Empire in a few days, Su Wen nodded. Changing the subject, he began asking Ningfengzi about another matter. Uncle Ning, has the contact with the Great Spirit Arena been arranged? Don't worry, would you doubt you Uncle Ning in handling things? Ningfengzi sighed. Before, it was Su Wen asking him to help gather information, but now, as the esteemed head of the 7 treasure glazed tile sect, he had become the one handling matters. However, why are you contacting Great Spirit Arena? They are quite extraordinary behind the scenes. Even Spirit Hall intervene rarely in the operations of Great Spirit Arena. Despite having many privileges there, our major sects and Spirit Hall still maintain a restrained relationship with Great Spirit Arena. The operation of the Great Spirit Arena is independent. There are various speculations about who supports it behind the scenes on the continent. Currently, there is a relationship of mutual respect between major powers and the Great Spirit Arena. The Great Spirit Arena provides various privileges to the major powers, while the major powers allow this influential force, spread across the continent, to exist and operate normally. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 205, Su Wen's Enigma to Ningfengzi. Su Wen understood the implications behind Ningfengzi's warning. Behind the Great Spirit Arena, there is someone backing it. Even Spirit Hall does not provoke them without conflicts of interest. In another sense, the Great Spirit Arena is also a force spread throughout the entire continent. Seeing Su Wen's calm demeanor, Ningfengzi stopped explaining further. I have already arranged a meeting with the head of the Great Spirit Arena in Heavendao City. Fengzi arrived at the Great Spirit Arena in Heavendao City, into top-tier luxurious private room. You are Su Wen. Yes, the name Master Wen is renowned throughout the world. As a Spirit Master myself, I thank Master Wen for the contributions made to the entire Spirit Master community. The visitor was polite, clearly a powerful Spirit Douluo level expert, showing utmost respect to Su Wen. Zhang Xianli, in charge of the Great Spirit Arena in Heavendao City, an 82nd level Spirit Douluo. Turning the conversation, he inquired about Su Wen's purpose for this meeting. I wonder what guidance Master Wen has for meeting with me today, Elder Zhang. I wonder if you can represent the entire Great Spirit Arena? Represent all the Great Spirit Arenas across the entire continent? Su Wen asked. Zhang Xianli narrowed his eyes. Earlier, when Ningfengzi contacted the Great Spirit Arena, similar requests were made, seeking someone who could speak on behalf of the entire Great Spirit Arena. Master Wen, rest assured, I hold some authority within the Great Spirit Arena. Even for matters involving the core operations of the Great Spirit Arena, I can report to higher levels without hesitation. Ningfengzi felt a stir in his heart, speculating on who these higher levels might be. Officially, the operations of the Great Spirit Arena were managed by regional heads. Even as the sect master of the 7 treasure glazed tile sect, Ningfengzi had never encountered individuals higher than these regional leaders. In that case, let me proceed. Su Wen stated his purpose. I wish to invite the Great Spirit Arena to join Wisdom Palace. What? Zhang Xianli showed a surprised expression. Why would Su Wen make such an impossible request? To be precise, not join Wisdom Palace, but to invest, Su Wen clarified. Invest, Zhang Xianli nodded, finding this approach more acceptable, and continued to inquire, what kind of investment? Existence of the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge space not only serves as a place for knowledge dissemination, but also for combat. Oh, Zhang Xianli had visited the Wisdom Palace in Heavendao City before, experiencing only the dissemination aspect. However, he had not yet experienced the new version of the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge space. Su Wen immediately created a Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge space and pulled Zhang Xianli and Ningfengzi into it. Rather than calling it a Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge space, it was more like a martial arena space. Inside the space, there were no various information resources typical of the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge space, only a large platform. Senior Zhang, you should be able to use your martial spirit and a certain amount of soul power, Su Wen reminded. Zhang Xianli took Su Wen's reminder and realized that he could indeed mobilize his martial spirit within this space. However, it seemed somewhat weaker than outside. And his soul power was only at the level of about rank 10. Being able to mobilize soul power naturally means you can also fight here, Su Wen said. He looked at Zhang Xianli, waiting for him to experiment. Sure enough, Zhang Xianli used his martial spirit, Thunder Leopard, to conduct tests in this martial arena, testing the strength that the arena could restore. Compared to compressing my soul power to rank 10 in reality, the difference isn't big. At most, it has restored about 70% of the strength and martial spirit abilities, Zhang Xianli commented. Nevertheless, this was still impressive. Moreover, even with only 70% restoration, it allowed spirit masters to fight more freely here. I plan to designate an area within the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge space at the Wisdom Palace for spirit fighting, Su Wen said. After all, whether it's familiarity with one's own spirit skills, mastery of soul power application, or practice with self-created spirit skills, combat is necessary. Zhang Xianli frowned upon hearing Su Wen's idea. He understood immediately that this was akin to competing for business with a great spirit arena, and also grasped why Su Wen had spoken as he did earlier. Do you want Great Spirit Arena to participate in this Spirit Fighter project? Zhang Xianli asked. Exactly, system. Great Spirit Arena has experience in this area, and I would feel more at ease handing this aspect over to you, Su Wen replied. One after listening, Zhang Xianli remained silent for a long time. The three left the Spirit Fighter Arena space and returned to the private room in Great Spirit Arena. I can't make a decision on my own. I will report your request and await instructions from higher-ups, Zhang Xianli finally responded. After all, this involved the operations of the Great Spirit Arena. If Wisdom Palace had the capability of the Spirit Fighter Arena, it would clearly reduce the number of visitors to the real Great Spirit Arena in the future. And, eventually, control over Wisdom Palace's Great Spirit Arena will rest in Su Wen's hands. There's no doubt about the creator of the entire Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge having control. This is also why Zhang Xianli hesitates to make a decision. No rush. The opening of the Spirit Fighter Arena's functionalities will only be considered after I complete the establishment of Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge in Starluo Empire, Su Wen said calmly. After leaving the Great Spirit Arena, Ningfengzi asked Su Wen, Xiaoan, what exactly does your Wisdom Palace intend to achieve? Why are you even starting to encroach on the Great Spirit Arena? Previously, it was fine as Wisdom Palace focused solely on knowledge dissemination. But now, they are even offering the functionality of a Spirit Fighter Arena. Not only are major sects joining, but some members of Spirit Hall are also involved. Su Wen even intends to relocate the Great Spirit Arena to Wisdom Palace's Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge. Of course, it's to promote the development of the Spirit Master world. With a Spirit Fighter Arena in the virtual world where life and death are not at stake, Spirit Masters can hone their combat experience better. Whether it's the application of soul power or the refinement of spirit skills, everything will be more convenient, Su Wen explained. Ningfengzi shook his head and didn't press further with Su Wen. You must have your own reasons for doing this. But I still want to remind you that taking too big a step may lead to a fall, he cautioned. Don't worry, Uncle Ning. I don't have any ambitions concerning the continent. Whether it's unification or establishing a regional power, it's not that important to me, Su Wen replied straightforwardly. Hearing Su Wen's direct admission that he had no intentions regarding the unification of the continent, Ningfengzi finally relaxed. Back at Wisdom Palace, Su Wen arrived at Supervision Peak in 3 magical mountains. Currently, the Supervision Peak had already recruited many direct disciples, all newly awakened spirit scholars. Their current task was focused on cultivation. Wisdom Palace recruits disciples without requiring innate talent. Anyone who is dedicated to cultivation and seeks a better future can join Wisdom Palace. Where's Lindong? Senior brother Lindong is currently in seclusion, aiming to break through to the 8th level. Oh, Su Wen was quite surprised. Just before the Spirit Master competition, Lindong had recently joined Wisdom Palace. At that time, his martial spirit had awakened almost a year ago, and his soul power had reached the 4th level. If he successfully breaks through this time, he would be advancing 4 levels in a year. This speed had already far exceeded the usual pace of 1 level of innate soul power cultivation. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 206, Master Wen is Too Great. Senior brother Lindong will have a complete chance to break through to level 10 next year if he succeeds this time. Yes, even if it takes another year, senior brother Lindong will be just 9 years old, with just a level 1 innate soul power. Becoming a spirit master at 9 years old is something unimaginable in the past. It is evident that Lindong has been very respected among the students at Supervision Peak over the past year. Your cultivation should not be neglected either, Su Wen said to the children. Yes, Master Wen. As students of Wisdom Palace, you all have 3 chances to obtain the Book of 10,000 Techniques for free. Whether it's the Spirit Ascension method or other techniques, or even the self-created spirit skills that I have mastered, you can apply for the corresponding Book of 10,000 Techniques. Really? The student's eyes lit up. Since Su Wen's final demonstration of the Book of 10,000 Techniques at the Spirit Master competition, the rumors about Su Wen's Book of 10,000 Techniques on the continent have become increasingly exaggerated. But no matter how exaggerated the rumors, the power of the Book of 10,000 Techniques is undeniable. Many forces have already wanted to cooperate with Wisdom Palace, offering their sect's secret techniques to Wisdom Palace. However, since Wisdom Palace has not yet been fully established, cooperation projects have not yet started. In other words, there are no legitimate channels for the Book of 10,000 Techniques to be distributed yet. However, as official students of Wisdom Palace, they all have 3 opportunities to apply for the Book of 10,000 Techniques. Each time you break through a rank, you will also receive 1 free opportunity to apply for the Book of 10,000 Techniques, Su Wen said. The students cheered. Among them, 10 already had soul power at level. However, they had not yet obtained a spirit ring, aiming to learn the Spirit Ascension method first to avoid falling behind in spirit ring pairing. But the Spirit Ascension method is very difficult, and even with Wisdom Palace's guidance, they were still far from mastering it. If they had the Book of 10,000 Techniques for the Spirit Ascension method, with the book's guidance on soul power operation, becoming familiar with its feel would significantly shorten the time needed to truly master the Spirit Ascension method. This would prevent them from being in a dilemma, worrying about the spirit ring's age gap and the delay in soul power cultivation caused by staying at level 10 to learn the Spirit Ascension method. I hope you will learn the techniques yourselves, but for those with high innate soul power, you can apply for the Book of 10,000 Techniques for the Spirit Ascension method and body tempering technique, aiming to quickly obtain the first ring. Your talents are naturally high and should not be wasted. For others, if your soul power reaches level 10 and you feel there's no hope of mastering the Spirit Ascension method within 6 months, it's best to directly apply for the Book of 10,000 Techniques. Using the Book of 10,000 Techniques for cultivation is not shameful. On the contrary, it's a loss if your own cultivation is delayed. Upon reaching level 10, it's crucial to quickly obtain a spirit ring. Staying at level 10 for a higher level spirit ring is counterproductive. Su Wen stayed at level 10 for a year, which was an extreme limit. That period of staying was more about finding a path for his future cultivation, which was significant, but in terms of actual soul power cultivation, he lost out. Overall, his gains were not substantial. This is also why his evaluation in the Spirit Hall's assessment system was considerably lowered at that time. However, at that time, he had no choice but to stay. After all, he needed to follow this path to change his fate against the odds. Su Wen stayed at Supervision Peak for 3 hours, waiting for Lindong to break through the level 8 bottleneck, while also interacting with these 6-year-old students. Master Wen, did you really develop all these techniques by yourself? Asked a child named Zhou Yuan. Su Wen had a deep impression of him because he had the highest innate soul power and the best martial spirit among this group of students. His martial spirit was a bright dragon. It was a true dragon martial spirit with a light attribute. Zhou Yuan's parents had the martial spirits of a bright lizard and a sunflower, respectively. However, Zhou Yuan's martial spirit directly mutated into a bright dragon. Innate soul power level 9. I developed these techniques myself, but I also consulted many materials from the Spirit Hall in Heavendao Imperial Academy. I even joined the Research Institute of Heavendao Imperial Academy, which allowed me to mobilize some personnel and develop these various techniques. For the scholars on the continent, the most difficult aspect of research is comparing it with internal conditions. However, Su Wen solved this issue very well and then added his own touches on top of the existing research on the continent, ultimately creating these various techniques. You can use my techniques as a foundation to develop more and better techniques and theories, pushing the Spirit Master community to a higher level of advancement. Hearing Su Wen's words, the 17 students present showed expressions of admiration. as expected of Master Wen. Such a great ideal too. He achieved his current success by standing on the shoulders of his predecessors, and now he is willing to let others stand on his shoulders to achieve even greater success. Xiao Yuan, your martial spirit talent is very high, so don't waste this talent. Unfortunately, I haven't mastered any self-created spirit skills with a light attribute, but I have developed some general types of spirit skills that dragon-type martial spirits can use. Zhou Yuan is one of the children Su Wen is most optimistic about. Apart from Zhou Yuan, the other is Lindong. Zhou Yuan has astonishing talent, while Lindong, though his martial spirit is a bit lacking, excels in all other aspects. One with the training from Wisdom Palace, both have the chance to reach the pinnacle. Su Wen stayed at supervision peak for 3 hours. A wave of soul power fluctuation was felt. The source of the fluctuation was the cultivation room where Lindong was in seclusion. Su Wen looked towards the cultivation room and smiled. He succeeded. Lindong broke through to level 8. Senior brother Lindong broke through. Lindong walked out of the cultivation room and was stunned when he saw Su Wen techniques. Lindong quickly said. Su Wen brought Lindong to a separate room. So, how is your progress with the body tempering technique now? I can roughly withstand the impact of a 500-year-old spirit ring, Lindong estimated. Lindong had not yet absorbed the spirit ring, so his judgment couldn't be that precise. However, Su Wen's spiritual power was extremely strong, and his observations of Lindong's physique were very thorough. He had previously conducted some basic examinations for Lindong. Using past standards, Lindong was able to evaluate his cultivation results and roughly estimate his endurance. 500 years, and you've only improved by less than 200 years. You have 2 more years, and you cannot afford any slack. Yes, Master Wen. Lindong's gaze was resolute. He knew that his martial spirit quality was poor, so absorbing a 1,000-year-old spirit ring for the first ring would be his greatest opportunity for evolution. You also need to practice the spirit ascension method more. Entry is not the end, practice it in conjunction with the spirit fusion technique. When you fully master both techniques, a surprise will be waiting for you. Yes, if you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 207, Undercurrent Surging, Crisis. After encouraging many students, Su Wen left Supervision Peak and arrived at Law Enforcement Peak. Law Enforcement Peak is different from Supervision Peak. Every member within Supervision Peak is directly related to Wisdom Palace and has been nurtured by Wisdom Palace since childhood. However, for Law Enforcement Peak, Su Wen currently does not have such requirements. Of course, most members of the current Law Enforcement Peak, like those in Supervision Peak, are 6-year-old children recruited by Wisdom Palace within this year. There are also some disciples sent by various other sects who practice body tempering technique in Law Enforcement Peak by harnessing the power of the stars. Law Enforcement Peak's Grandmaster is naturally Yuluichan. His talent surpasses Zhou Yuan's slightly, being born with innate full soul power. Coupled with Sword Douluo Chenzin as his master and various resources, shortly after awakening, he directly absorbed the 700-year-old first spirit ring, raising his soul power to level 14. Within the following year, he ascended another 6 levels and is now a spirit master of level 20. Chenzin also plans to take Yi Luochen hunting for his second spirit ring soon. Undoubtedly, Yi Luochen's target for the second spirit ring is a 1,000-year-old one, with a tentative upper limit of 1,800 years. This surpasses the normal limit of the third ring of a typical spirit master. The body tempering technique suits Yi Luochen perfectly. His Morning Star Sword, combined with the power of the stars, enhances both his physique and soul power in harmony with the technique. Even constrained by physical development, he achieved this at the age of 7. If he successfully practices the spirit ascension method, his second ring could even attempt a 2,000-year-old spirit ring. Su Wen looked at Yi Luochen before him, resembling a sharp sword, deeply moved. This was the descendant who had set new records on the shoulders of giants. Although previously suspicious of his character, Su Wen's admiration was sincere. Yi Luochen's eyes sparkled like stars as he respectfully bowed to Su Wen and said, "Master Wen, yes, I came this time at the behest of Sword Grandpa. This is the Book of 10,000 Techniques, the Spirit Ascension method he applied for you. Within 3 months, you can activate it with soul power and experience the operation of soul power in the Spirit Ascension method." Su Wen integrated a page inscribed with the Spirit Ascension method into Yi Luochen's body. "I hope that by the time I return next, you will have obtained your second spirit ring and become a true spirit Grandmaster. Luochen will not disappoint Master Wen. Su Wen nodded, gathered many members of Law Enforcement Peak, and then began to lecture them. Since it's Wisdom Palace, there should be teaching, not just learning. In this regard, Wisdom Palace still lacks something. Although Wisdom Palace has been gathering scholars from across the continent, scholars are still few, and there are limited students they can teach. Su Wen can only expedite the development of the virtual world and achieve cross-regional resource circulation as soon as possible. 1.45 hours, Su Wen clarified doubts face-to-face with the students. After finishing the teaching, he left Law Enforcement Peak and left Wisdom Palace. Uncle Ning, let's go. Let's complete the opening of the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge as soon as possible. So that Wisdom Palace can enter normal development as soon as possible. Ning Fengzi was quite helpless. Xiao, this trip to the Starluo Empire must not be taken lightly. This time, he would accompany Su Wen to the Starluo Empire, along with the current Crown Prince Zhu, King of the Heavendao Empire. In secret, Xiao Zhan would also accompany them, and Zhu King would have a spirit Douluo dispatched by the royal family following him. With Ning Fengzi's support, even if they encountered tidal Douluo, the two spirit Douluo could fully contend with them. Whether there would be real tidal Douluo accompanying them in secret was not disclosed to the public. However, outsiders wouldn't foolishly think Ning Fengzi would act alone. The Bone Douluo would certainly go with him. Xiao, ahead is the border of the two great empires. Don't let your guard down. Despite already bearing the title of Master Wen, Su Wen's involvement in this matter held too many interests. Ning Fengzi quietly reminded Su Wen alone. Currently, there are indeed sects hostile to Su Wen, particularly some orthodox sects that harbor significant animosity toward him. They believe that Su Wen's Wisdom Palace is forcing all sects to cooperate. The biggest troublemaker is actually the Clear Sky sect. 10 months ago, the Clear Sky sect emerged, causing turmoil across the continent. After the emergence of the Clear Sky sect, Pope Bibidong of Spirit Hall personally led 3 tidal Douluo to the gates of the Clear Sky sect to demand justice, expressing dissatisfaction with the Clear Sky sect's active violation of past promises of seclusion. Subsequently, a large-scale battle broke out between the two sides. The Clear Sky sect mobilized 6 tidal Douluo to battle against Bibidong, Chrysanthemum Douluo, Ghost Douluo, and another tidal Douluo from Spirit Hall. The battle lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. Bibidong led her 3 tidal Douluo to retreat, and as a result, the Clear Sky sect re-emerged as a major power. 6 tidal Douluo. The resurgence of the Clear Sky sect has indeed shaken the entire continent. A sect with 2 tidal Douluo is already a dominant force across the continent, as is the 7 treasure glazed tile sect, whose influence is top tier across the entire continent. Apart from Spirit Hall, no other power has ever had more than 2 tidal Douluo. However, now the Clear Sky sect has broken this barrier. By forcefully clashing with Spirit Hall and enduring under their pressure, they successfully re-emerged. The Clear Sky sect naturally released some messages, such as the requirement for Su Wen to return the spirit bones in his possession to the Clear Sky sect. There's also the fact that Tang San is a direct disciple of the Clear Sky sect. Any action against him is seen as disrespect towards the Clear Sky sect, and so on. Unfortunately, Su Wen, the main character involved in the former issue, completely disregards the Clear Sky sect, and has not even responded to this matter. As for the latter, spirit masters on the continent paid no attention to it. When it came to secretly assassinating Tang San, they showed no mercy. After all, 100,000-year spirit bone is enough to completely transform any spirit master. For a spirit master at the spirit saint level, absorbing 100,000-year spirit bone definitely holds the hope of achieving tidal Douluo within 10 years. Any spirit master on the continent who reaches the spirit saint level is coveting the possibility of the 100,000-year spirit bone that may exist on Tang San. In fact, not only are they speculating about the 100,000-year spirit bone that may exist on Tang San, which belongs to Yin, but also each of those spirit masters currently hunting Tang San on the continent wonders if killing Tang San will result in spirit rings or spirit bones. After all, examples of 100,000-year spirit beasts transforming exist, but there are no historical examples on the continent of 100,000-year spirit beasts transforming and leaving descendants with humans. Is Tang San, with his half-human, half-spirit beast bloodline, the perfect embodiment of spirit beast transformation? Both spirit beast and not spirit beast? These are all speculations. Combined with the temptation of the 100,000-year spirit bone, these factors have attracted waves of hunters. Unfortunately, no one has succeeded in hunting him down. Clear Sky Sect has been watching your movements all along. This time, when you leave the Heaven Dao Empire, it's their best opportunity to strike, and also, the Heaven Dao royal family may not be completely trustworthy. Ning Fengzi explained many precautions to Su Wen. Spirit City. Pope's Hall. Your Majesty Pope, now that Su Wen has reached the borders of the two great empires, are we really not going to act against him? Now, the mission of Wisdom Palace can be said to be preliminarily completed. At this point, many people are considering taking advantage of the situation. Among them, the situation in the Heaven Dao Empire is particularly severe. This also means that the intimidation from Su Wen's title of Master Wen has reached its lowest point. It's the best opportunity for powers like Spirit Hall to make a move against him. Whether a new sacred place will succeed in being established or fail midway, each realm represents a turning point. Bibi Dong narrowed her phoenix-like eyes and waved her hand. As for Su Wen, let him develop freely. Now, my biggest target for Spirit Hall is the Clear Sky Sect. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 208 Jin Dao Liu, How Many to Kill? Whether it's Clear Sky Sect, the Heaven Dao royal family, or any other faction targeting Su Wen, Spirit Hall will not intervene. Bibi Dong made a decision. Chrysanthemum Daluo pondered these words for a moment and understood Bibi Dong's meaning. Let them fight. Whoever targets Su Wen, Spirit Hall can command the spirit masters on the continent and use the name of the Wisdom Palace to act against them. Sect is certainly one of them. Therefore, whether Su Wen is successfully assassinated or not, Spirit Hall has the opportunity to once again legitimately confront Clear Sky Sect. If Su Wen is not assassinated, then cooperation between both sides can continue for a long time. Even if Spirit Hall cannot swiftly defeat Clear Sky Sect again, they can aim for the long-term attrition of Clear Sky Sect. If Su Wen is assassinated, then the control of the Wisdom Palace already established within the Heaven Dao Empire will fall to Spirit Hall. With the young lord present, Su Wen's safety should be assured, Chrysanthemum Daluo tentatively remarked, observing Bibi Dong's reaction. Aside from a slight frown upon hearing young lord, Bibi Dong's expression remained unchanged. With this, Chrysanthemum Daluo felt reassured. Spirit Hall, and even the Pope's stance here towards Su Wen, could be considered friendly. Su Wen originated from Spirit Hall and later was acknowledged under Jinring Su's command within the palace, so Spirit Hall has maintained a friendly attitude towards Su Wen. However, there have been too many unexpected events in the Spirit Master competition beyond our control. For example, Su Wen's soul power level and spirit ring colors. These surprises are no less than betrayal to Spirit Hall. After all, falsely reporting soul power levels and spirit ring colors, especially when the Spirit Master is an internal member of Spirit Hall, is extremely serious if Spirit Hall views Su Wen. But the relationship between Spirit Hall as a whole and Su Wen is subject to diverse interpretations, both internally and externally. After all, the Wisdom Palace is clearly emerging as the second largest holy land on the continent. If Su Wen succeeds, it would shake the foundation of Spirit Hall's status, and any authority in theoretical aspects would be potentially replaced by the Wisdom Palace. And how Pope Bibi Dong views this matter at the highest level, even Chrysanthemum Daluo dares not ascertain, indicating that those below are even more confusion. Internal confusion leads to wilder speculations from the outside. Under these influences, major powers outwardly praise Master Wen's name while secretly harboring their own agendas. Uncle Ning, I actually understand all of this, Su Wen affirmed Ning Fengzi's assessment of the continent's situation and showed no signs of complacency. With my current abilities, as long as it's not a Super Douluo making a move, I shouldn't have any issues staying alive, he expressed confidence. Before obtaining his 6th spirit ring, he had just broken through to level 60. At that time, he could match Tang Hao, who was severely injured, in various bursts. Now, with his 6th spirit ring from the Dark Devilga Tiger, his soul power has risen to level 64. Ning Fengzi's enhancements have surely given Su Wen preliminary qualifications to contend with Tidal Douluo when combined with Phantom Eyes warning capabilities and Space Shuttle. Su Wen possesses formidable survival abilities. Aside from Super Douluo who have begun mastering special powers, other Tidal Douluo would find it difficult to pose a life-threatening threat to Su Wen. Moreover, Bone Douluo and Jinring Su are also present. Su Wen doesn't believe that Jinring Su is without title Douluo by her side. Given the current crisis, it's estimated that those accompanying her are not just ordinary title Douluo, there's likely at least one super Douluo above level 95 following her. In Spirit City. Consecration Hall. Within Spirit Hall, above the Pope's Hall lies the Consecration Hall. Only Spirit Masters who have reached the title Douluo level can enter here, and it is the ultimate destination for all Spirit Masters registered in Spirit Hall above the title Douluo level, a place revered by all Spirit Masters. Inside the Consecration Hall, most of Spirit Hall's Super Douluo above level 95 are enshrined. Bibi Dong's figure appeared, slowly walking into the Consecration Hall. Within the Consecration Hall, powerful fluctuations of soul power emanated from several figures, all of them exuding formidable soul power fluctuations. At the highest position, there was a man who appeared to be in his 30s or 40s, very handsome, emitting a calm and serene aura that gave a very comforting feeling. At this moment, this man looked at Bibi Dong as she entered the Consecration Hall with a melancholic expression. He sighed. "It's been over 10 years since your last visit here." Bibi Dong's voice rang out coldly. "You should know the purpose of my visit this time." The handsome man is none other than Jin Douluo, the Grand Priest of the Consecration Hall, guardian of the angelic god. Jin Douluo showed no dissatisfaction with Bibi Dong's attitude. Instead, a trace of guilt flickered deep in his eyes. "I will take action this time." After a long silence, Jin Douluo asked, "How many need to be killed?" Bibi Dong's eyes flickered. "The more, the better." "At least 2, she replied. Jin Douluo sighed. "For this assessment of yours, I will help you accomplish it." Bibi Dong turned and left. Watching Bibi Dong depart, Jin Douluo's gaze was complex. In the past, his son had let Bibi Dong down, and now he could only try his best to make amends. After all, not only was Bibi Dong extraordinarily talented, she was also Jinring Su's biological mother. "Grand Priest, are we really going to engage in such a major conflict with Clear Sky Sect this time? We need to kill at least 2 title Douluo, the more, the better." Once this battle erupts, Tang Chen of Clear Sky Sect will undoubtedly be informed. Tang Chen hasn't appeared in over 100 years, perhaps he met with an accident during one of his searches for miracles. 2 However, in case he is still alive, if he goes mad, Spirit Hall will suffer heavy losses. Jin Douluo raised his hand to quiet the conversations among the many attendants below. The attendants here are all Super Douluo who have been secluded in the Consecration Hall for decades or even centuries, and they are all aware of Tang Chen's existence. Last time, I gave Clear Sky Sect a breathing space out of respect for Tang Chen. This time, there's no need to worry about retaliation from Tang Chen. Just complete the mission. We will follow the Grand Priest's command. Clearly, besides the Grand Priest Jin Douluo, this operation in the Consecration Hall will involve many attendants. "Teacher, you don't need to avoid me." Zhu King approached Su Wen and Ning Fengzi, expressing helplessness. There have indeed been voices within the Heaven Dao royal family that were unfavorable to Xiaoan, but Father Emperor suppressed them. "Your Highness is overthinking. I was just discussing private matters between Xiaoan and Rongrong," Ning Fengzi said with a faint smile. Su Wen's lips twitched slightly as he pointed, indicating he had not schemed against the royal family. "Brother Zhu, I still trust you very much," Su Wen said sincerely. "Oh," Zhu King's eyes brightened, quite satisfied with Su Wen's words because she had just sensed through her skull spirit bone that Su Wen was not lying. Su Wen was about to nod when suddenly a sharp pain pierced his forehead. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 209, It's you who doesn't understand the situation. "Be careful," Xiao Zhan spoke up, instantly entering a combat state. His aura was extremely violent, like a complete Flame Lord figure, swiftly rushing to Su Wen's side. Meanwhile, in the distance, a figure rapidly enlarged in the sky, a pair of green wings condensing behind him, and a large amount of wind gathering around his body, forming a cone shape. His speed was incredibly fast. Xiao Zhan roared, his right fist suddenly striking out. Flames erupted. On the other side of his fist, a massive explosion of flames suddenly burst out, covering half the sky. The Spirit Master launching the attack in the air also changed his face color drastically, but gritted his teeth and continued to charge down. The green wind condensed, forming a shimmering cone with terrifying sharpness coldly. The flames in his hand burst out explosively. Boom! The flames exploded, terrifying explosions everywhere. The explosive impact shattered the green wind around the Spirit Master's body, with a large amount of flames invading and corroding him. Bang! The attacking Spirit Master fell heavily to the ground, his body covered with burns, flesh and blood blurred by the flames, and some parts even charred black. Since you've done such despicable things and there's no one else here, there's no need to play hide and seek, right? He said. Could it be that the title Douluo of the mighty Clear Sky sect doesn't even have the confidence to kill me face to face? Su Wen stepped past Xiao Zhan and looked in a certain direction, openly declaring war. Sure enough, two powerful soul power fluctuations spread out, and two figures emerged from behind the rocks opposite Su Wen. Two great title Douluo. The Clear Sky sect only had a total of 6 title Douluo, yet this time they directly sent 2 title Douluo to attack Su Wen. Apart from the Clear Sky sect, several other figures appeared around, including 3 spirit saints and 2 spirit Douluo. Su Wen smiled, but his smile was icy. It seems that there are indeed many people on this continent who want to die. Looking at the 5 completely unfamiliar figures, Su Wen's intent to kill did not weaken at all. Since they came to assassinate him, they must be prepared to be counter-killed. We won't be careless, Tang Xiao said solemnly. After all, you are the Master Wen of the entire continent. Back then in Spirit City, you were very prestigious, capable of killing title Douluo beyond your level as a Spirit King. In his voice, there was admiration, but more so, hatred. Because the title Douluo killed beyond his level was Tang Hao, his own younger brother. Even though Tang Hao was considered a sinner of the sect, Tang Xiao had never blamed his brother. You flatter me, Su Wen said lightly. His gaze remained calm throughout, unchanged even in the face of 2 great title Douluo, 2 old spirit Douluo, and 3 spirit saints aiming to attack. Crown Prince Zhu King, the relationship between our Clear Sky sect and the royal family has always been separate. If your royal family does not intervene today, my Clear Sky sect also has no intention of causing trouble with you. Zhu King looked calmly at Tang Xiao and said, Master Wen is the Master Wen of the Spirit Master realm on the continent. His contributions to the Spirit Master realm do not allow us of the Heaven Dao royal family to stand idly by and watch as you lay hands on him, you from the Zhu family, seeking death. The other title Douluo from the Clear Sky sect beside Tang Xiao spoke coldly. It was evident that they did not hold much respect for the royal family. After all, there were no title Douluo under the royal family's command. Even Poison Douluo only assisted Prince Zhu due to personal grievances. The royal family could not mobilize any title Douluo. At most, there would only be a spirit Douluo level expert secretly following one. The only place where title Douluo might be present was the 7 treasure glazed tile sect, but even they would not dispatch 2 title Douluo together. Therefore, there was only 1 title Douluo present. You're asking for death, boom. Suddenly, the 7th elder of the Clear Sky sect beside Tang Xiao had released his martial spirit. 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 5 black spirit rings surrounded him. The pitch-black Clear Sky hammer in his hand exuded a powerful sense of strength. Su Wen, return the spirit bone of our Clear Sky sect, take your own life in atonement, or today don't blame us for showing no mercy and killing everyone, and you, Sect Master Ning, considering the relationship with the upper 3 sects, if you retreat today, my Clear Sky sect will not pursue this matter. Ning Fengzi narrowed his eyes. These words already showed disdain towards the 7 treasure glazed tile sect. No, from the beginning, the Clear Sky sect had this bad habit. Even though they formed an alliance with the upper 3 sects, they always had an attitude of looking down on others. Su Wen slowly stepped forward, the heavenly book appearing in his hand. 1 spirit ring after another began to manifest around him. Yellow, purple, purple, black, black, black. 6 rings, Spirit Emperor. Spirit Emperor, the 6th elder and Tang Xiao and others were shocked inwardly, not anticipating that Su Wen had gained his 6th spirit ring in just a year, becoming a Spirit Emperor. This also brought tremendous pressure upon them. Today, Su Wen must die. If Su Wen does not die today, in just a few years, he is likely to become a real threat to their sects. Even without considering the threat of Su Wen's strength, if Su Wen escapes death today, with his influence, he will definitely pose a significant threat to their sects. Except for the Clear Sky sect, the sects to which the other 5 people belong may not be able to withstand it. Sigh, what are you all thinking? How can you still hope to leave here? Su Wen looked at Tang Xiao and the other 7 people, his voice indifferent, as if he were speaking to 7 dead men. Today, your Clear Sky sect can also be removed from the continent, Su Wen concluded for the Clear Sky sect as well. The seventh elder chuckled alive in anger. Kid, what nonsense are you talking about? Do you really think that Spirit Hall can threaten my Clear Sky sect just because the sect master and I leave? Spirit Hall is strong, but Clear Sky sect has 4 titled Douluo guarding it, plus the terrain is treacherous. As long as it's not Jin Daoliu personally making a move, we can defend ourselves. Would Jin Daoliu come out of seclusion again at this time to target Clear Sky sect? The last time Jin Daoliu acted was when his only heir was killed, driven by anger. Otherwise, given Jin Daoliu's personality and his 100-year seclusion from the continent's affairs, why would he suddenly appear to target Clear Sky sect? He acted back then. But now, would Jin Daoliu act for Su Wen? What a joke. Even though Spirit Hall has shown considerable strength in the past year, Clear Sky sect decided not to leave the secluded mountains and ridges it inhabited during its previous seclusion, precisely to deal with Spirit Hall. Su Wen shook his head. It's that you all don't understand. The demise of Clear Sky sect holds significance for Spirit Hall, or more accurately, for someone. 1. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 210 Xiao Zun, Clear Sky Hammer is nothing special. After the Spirit Master competition, besides establishing the Wisdom Palace, Su Wen invested a lot of effort into being vigilant against Spirit Hall. In the original work, Spirit Hall launched the Soul Annihilation Operation 5 years after the Spirit Master competition, before the next one, attacking the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect and the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan, essentially removing the 2 major sects from the continent. Subsequently, as news spread across the continent and it trembled, Spirit Hall took the opportunity to step forward to condemn the culprits, distancing themselves while announcing that they would reselect the 7 major sects in a year through a competition to determine the strongest comprehensive strength among them. As for whether the Spirit Master competition held during that time was conducted normally, Su Wen had no way of knowing. He only knew that 1 year after that supposed Spirit Master competition, there was a sect competition. Of course, these details weren't the main focus. The most important thing was the Soul Annihilation operation launched by Spirit Hall. Although Su Wen had already preliminarily gained strong power and substantial fame through the establishment of Wisdom Palace, gaining a certain influence on the continent, his strength was still far from enough. If Spirit Hall were to launch the Soul Annihilation operation again, Su Wen dare not say he could protect the 2 major sects as much as possible in front of Spirit Hall's many strong individuals. Even if he could only protect the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect, it would likely be very difficult. Even worse, while it may be possible to protect the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect's main line, the entire sect would inevitably be attacked and destroyed by Spirit Hall. This is the strength of Spirit Hall. Therefore, after obtaining the 6th Spirit Ring and establishing the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge in various major cities, Su Wen also kept an eye on Spirit Hall's movements. As the conflict between Spirit Hall and the Clear Sky sect intensified, their relationship became increasingly tense, and conflicts erupted more frequently. Spirit Hall displayed more and more power, which reassured Su Wen. Because he noticed that Spirit Hall seemed to have targeted the Clear Sky sect, rather than the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect and the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan, as in the original work. Certainly, Su Wen's own influence played a role in this. He carefully considered all possibilities and felt that one of them was closest to the truth. That is, Bibi Dong's Soul Annihilation operation. While planning for the future martial spirit empire, the emergence of this idea itself is crucial. Why does she want to lead Spirit Hall to unify the continent? Previously, Su Wen always attributed Bibi Dong's incomprehensible actions to her being a love-struck and crazy woman. However, after careful consideration for a while, Su Wen discovered something he hadn't noticed before. That is, Bibi Dong is undergoing a divine examination. And the divine position she inherits is the Rakshasa god. What does the divine examination of the Rakshasa god entail? On this point, the original work does not provide any explanation. Therefore, perhaps some of the irrational and crazy actions taken by Bibi Dong are part of the divine examination? It cannot be said that she is completely coerced by the divine examination. It can only be said that due to her love-struck mentality and a bit of madness in her mind, she was captured by the Rakshasa god and magnified. Step by step, she was thoroughly guided towards a direction more suitable for inheriting the position of the Rakshasa god. The Rakshasa god oversees evil thoughts, controls the power of evil and resentment slaughter, represents all negative emotions in the world, and stirring up war is the most suitable expression of its divine position philosophy. In addition to stirring up war, there is also slaughter. It's slaughter related to resentment, not just accumulation of killing intent. This is the difference between the Rakshasa god and the Asura god. So, could Bibi Dong's task be to destroy sects? And for added difficulty, in the process of destroying sects, it would be reasonable to at least kill several titled Douluo, right? Su Wen didn't dare to affirm that his guess was definitely correct. However, after today, he estimated that he could make a preliminary judgment. However, how Bibi Dong actually isn't very important to Su Wen. At this moment, he looked at the 7 experts in front of him, and a hint of killing intent gradually appeared in his eyes. 1. You may have underestimated our strength. Xiao Zhan's 8th hunt was for an 80,000-year level Flame Master, and he obtained its spirit bone. After absorbing the Flame Master's spirit ring, coupled with the evolution brought by the Coxcomb Phoenix Sunflower Martial Spirit, his soul power directly reached 83rd level due to his previous accumulation at the 79th level and the feedback brought by condensing the spirit core. After absorbing the spirit bone of the 80,000-year Flame Master, he fortunately leveled up once more. At that time, Su Wen imparted external strength and internal strength to Xiao Zhan, and he had long ago given Xiao Zhan the spirit fusion technique as well. 2 years later, Xiao Zhan also successfully increased his soul power by 5 levels. In other words, his soul power reached 89 levels. Of course, this rapid increase was brought about by the evolution of his martial spirit and the cultivation of techniques. When he passes through the second major bottleneck, condensing the second spirit core and reaching the realm of titled Douluo, his cultivation speed will become somewhat more normal. However, at present, Xiao Zhan rightfully stands at the peak of spirit Douluo. At 89 levels of soul power, plus the completion of soul power solidification and the condensation of the spirit core, the only difference between him and a titled Douluo is a 9th spirit ring. Moreover, Xiao Zhan doesn't rely primarily on spirit rings or spirit skills as his main combat methods. So, in all aspects, Xiao Zhan possesses the combat power of a titled Douluo level. He is not like Poison Douluo, who leans towards being a weak control type titled Douluo, but rather possesses the strength of an attack type titled Douluo. In addition to Ning Fengxi's enhancement, and Su Wen's perfected rings fusion technique for him. In the short term, resisting even a 95th level Super Douluo head-on is not a problem. This is Xiao Zhan. Kid, prepare to die. The 7th elder, irritated by Su Wen's indifferent attitude, his spirit ring shimmering, immediately charged with a clear sky hammer in hand. 1 Uncle Zhan, I'll leave this 7th elder to you, Su Wen said. Got it. Xiao Zhan looked at the approaching Clear Sky Sect 7th elder, eager to try his skills. Just moments ago, he had effortlessly dispatched an assassin at the Spirit Saint level, leaving him unsatisfied. He hadn't even exerted his full strength, yet the Spirit Saint level assassin was easily dealt with. Now, he hopes this 7th elder of Clear Sky Sect can provide him with enough pressure. Sect, he shouldn't have been so impulsive and quick-tempered. However, under Spirit Hall's suppression and Clear Sky Sect's forced withdrawal from the Spirit Master realm in recent years, the Spirit Masters of Clear Sky Sect have developed some inferiority complex. No, more precisely, it's not inferiority. It's a kind of dissatisfaction. Especially now, with Xiao Zhan's attitude, it seems to question Clear Sky Sect's reputation as the #1 sect and the Tool Martial Spirit Clear Sky Hammer's title as the best in the world. Facing a titled Douluo of Clear Sky Sect, he still wants to fight against him? Isn't that underestimating the prestige of the Clear Sky Hammer too much? Ha ha ha, let me see the true power of the Clear Sky Hammer. Xiao Zhan burst into laughter, his 7th spirit ring shining brightly, as if he had transformed into the Master of Flames. Martial Spirit True Body also took on this new form. The Fire Demon form. In this pure flame form, he seemed naturally attuned to fire, maximizing the use of the Fire Demon style. Outside his body, the 8 spirit rings layered heavily, seemingly perfectly fused together, and then integrated into his body. Rings fusion technique. Previously used only for bursts of power, it had now been perfected with Su Wen's assistance to seamlessly integrate into his martial spirit. The most significant ability in this state is that he can effortlessly use these 8 spirit skills as if it were instinctual, no longer relying on spirit rings. Boom! The two sides erupted in their first collision. The 7th elder was pushed back by the raging flames, his expression changing slightly. Ha ha ha, Clear Sky Hammer and the Clear Sky Sect are nothing. Xiao Zhan was extremely arrogant at this moment. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 211, You Can't Block This Hammer. 7th Elder's face turned ugly, angrily saying, Such shameless boasting, I haven't even used the martial spirit true body in our fight. Do you really think forcing me back in this state means you can look down on the Clear Sky Hammer? 7th Spirit Skill, Clear Sky True Body. The Clear Sky Hammer in 7th Elder's hand suddenly changed. Originally black, it now emitted an intense oppressive aura as it turned into a dark golden color, appearing even more formidable. 7th Elder advanced again, swinging the Clear Sky Hammer and smashing down fiercely. This strike was a pure eruption of power. Xiao Zhan's eyes were full of battle intent, completely fearless. Flames erupted, and his spirit was incredibly abundant, somewhat reduced. Or rather, he transformed into a special energy form, where damage to him would be converted into harm to his entire body in this state. Point-to-point collision spread the damage across his whole body. This was a significant enhancement for Xiao Zhan, who excelled in close-range strong attacks. Bang! 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 Both sides continued to battle fiercely. Xiao Zhan was full of fighting spirit, his anger soaring. Although he was somewhat suppressed in the contest of strength against 7th Elder, he maintained the initiative, constantly attacking. His flame fist and fire kick connected seamlessly, demonstrating a mastery of his self-created spirit skill, fire demon style, like flowing water. At this moment, Xiao Zhan resembled a humanoid spirit beast, fighting purely on instinct. Every strike he made seemed like a spirit skill, every strike capable of unleashing a fiery explosion. With a terrifying explosive force combined with his own strength, he forcefully contested against 7th Elder, who wielded the Clear Sky Hammer and possessed the level of a titled Douluo. 3rd Spirit Skill, Clear Burning Sun. 5th Spirit Skill, Gravity Control. 7th Elder only managed to mobilize soul power to unleash these two major spirit skills during a brief gap. Under the influence of the 3rd Spirit Skill, 7th Elder's strength became even more berserk. However, his 5th Spirit Skill did not noticeably weaken Xiao Zhan. Ha ha ha, what junk spirit skills are you equipped with? Xiao Zhan laughed. Indeed, 7th Elder's spirit skill quality was not bad, but when paired with a Clear Sky Hammer, there was always a feeling of mismatch. Unexpectedly, there's even a gravity control. If it were just attached to the hammer, that would be one thing, but it's actually a control field. It's simply out of place. Perhaps the all-encompassing approach shouldn't be questioned, but Xiao Zhan, a scholar, couldn't help but mock the Clear Sky Hammer's martial spirit for taking this control route. However, Xiao Zhan soon found that he had mocked too early. 7th Elder was extremely annoyed. After the collision, he quickly distanced himself, and the 2nd and 6th spirit rings shimmered. 2nd Spirit Skill, Hammer Spirit Control. 6th Spirit Skill, Spirit Doppelganger. 7th Elder continued to create distance, with Xiao Zhan in hot pursuit. 7th Elder suddenly let go of the two Clear Sky Hammers in his hands and smashed them out. Seeing this, Xiao Zhan hurriedly dodged. After the Clear Sky Hammers flew out, they turned in midair and smashed towards Xiao Zhan again. Goodness, this is really out of place. Su Wen watched from afar, feeling speechless. Forget about him. Even Xiao Zhan, who was currently fighting 7th Elder, was caught off guard by this strange and unconventional tactic. Using dual Clear Sky Hammers for the Clear Sky Hammer flow is understandable, but to use Clear Sky Hammer for long-range attacks, to goodness gracious, really? HMPH, 7th Elder detected Xiao Zhan's mockery, caught the returning Clear Sky Hammers, swung them, and engaged in battle once more. The Clear Sky Hammer flow executed disorder-splitting winds, making each strike connect faster and more fiercely. Xiao Zhan was continuously pushed back, and the force of 7th Elder's Clear Sky Hammers grew stronger and stronger. As the force piled up, Xiao Zhan increasingly found himself at a disadvantage. However, he still didn't interrupt 7th Elder. Instead, he cooperated with 7th Elder to stack disorder-splitting winds. Arrogant, 7th Elder roared, swinging his hammers, continuously stacking disorder-splitting winds. Bang! 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 Xiao Zan's situation became even more difficult. Elder's disorder-splitting wind stacked to around 20 hammers. A burst of fiery power suddenly erupted within Xiao Zan. Boom! Outside Xiao Zan's body, a more intense layer of flames covered him, seemingly enhancing all aspects of his strength and attributes out of thin air. Flame Fist. Bang! Seventh Elder no longer just suppressed, he also struggled a bit in connecting his attacks. However, with the stacking of disorder-splitting winds, Seventh Elder once again gained the upper hand. Green flames covered Xiao Zan's body, granting him a comprehensive boost once more. At this moment, fueled by the eruption of Flame Fist, Xiao Zan actually managed to suppress Seventh Elder, who had stacked up to around 40 hammers, for several rounds. However, disorder-splitting winds relied on leveraging strength against strength, becoming fiercer with each stack of force. Yet Xiao Zan's fighting spirit was undiminished, meeting Seventh Elder head-on. At this moment, the 5 people who had come together with the Clear Sky sect from afar wore solemn expressions. So strong. Especially the 2 old spirit Douluo among them, their eyes filled with disbelief. A spirit Douluo, how could he possibly be this powerful? Seventh Elder is a titled Douluo, and moreover, a Clear Sky Hammer Spirit Master. His strength is immense, especially with disorder-splitting wind stacked up, its power is terrifying. However, there were people in the spirit Douluo realm who could match him head-on. Tang Xiao also took a deep breath, admitting his previous underestimation of Xiao Zan's strength before this operation. Fortunately, this time, Seventh Elder strongly insisted on accompanying him. Otherwise, if he were alone, he wouldn't dare guarantee that he could kill Su Wen under the protection of Xiao Zan and Bone Douluo. Even though Seventh Elder could hold off Xiao Zan, Tang Xiao would still face the obstruction of Bone Douluo. Their strengths as titled Douluo were evenly matched, but their objectives were different. One aimed at targeted attack, the other at protection. As long as he found an opportunity, there was still a chance. Moreover, there were 5 other companions this time. Charge! Tang Xiao no longer continued to watch the battle. He released his Clear Sky Hammer, and a much stronger soul power fluctuation erupted than Seventh Elder's. He accelerated suddenly, rushing towards Su Wen and the others. Midway, he directly activated his martial spirit true body. The black Clear Sky Hammer and his hand patterns transformed into dark golden color, with black and blood red spreading across its surface. As fellow Clear Sky Hammer Spirit Masters, there was still a gap between them. Ah, Tang Xiao, you shouldn't have come. Ning Fengzi closed his eyes, sighing. He seemed reluctant to harm Tang Xiao, the master of the Clear Sky sect, but clearly, the 2 sides were now irreconcilable. Su Wen and the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect had long surpassed simple normal cooperation. The relationship between them was much closer than anyone thinks. Uncle Bone, Ning Fengzi called softly to shuttle through space, intercepting Tang Xiao before him. Tang Xiao, I'm sorry. Gurong apologized with his words but showed no hesitation in completely blocking Tang Xiao. 7 treasures emanate the brilliance of glazed tiles. 7 treasures are renowned. First is strength, third is soul, fourth is defense, sixth is enhancement. 4 beams of light descended, empowering Gurong. At the same time, 6 beams of light fell upon Xiao Zan on the other battlefield. Xiao Zan's aura surged once again. Initially suppressed to his limit by Seventh Elder, who had stacked up to nearly 60 hammers, Xiao Zan fiercely clashed back, even briefly reversing the situation to suppress Seventh Elder. However, the more disorder-splitting wind stacked, the more formidable its force became. By 70 hammers, Seventh Elder's strength caught up. Xiao Zan, you are too arrogant, Seventh Elder roared. His power continued to accumulate with each attack. At this moment, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. Ning Fengzi's augmentation also reached its limit, completely suppressing Xiao Zan. Today, your greatest failure is underestimating the power of my Clear Sky Hammer. You dared to forcefully withstand my disorder-splitting winds. The accumulated disorder-splitting winds is not something you can contend with. Pay the price for your arrogance. At this moment, Seventh Elder had already unleashed 80 hammers. He gathered his strength suddenly, channeling all his force into his hands merged into one, becoming immensely powerful in an instant. This strike will be devastating. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 212. This move is called Angry but the Lotus Flame. At this moment, Xiao Zan's condition has reached its limit. Since Seventh Elder increased to 75 hammers, he has been suppressed. With each clash, Xiao Zhan endured tremendous damage. However, he has persisted all along. The emerald green flames covering his body not only possess fierce power but also heal his wounds and enhance his endurance. At this moment, 7th Elder has finally increased to 81 swings. Today, I will let all spirit masters in the world see that the number 1 tool martial spirit belongs to my fire demon book. Xiao Zhan laughed wildly. You have also increased to 81 hammers, so I should use my strongest move now. This self-created spirit skill, developed by me over the past 2 years, represents my peak strike. This move is called Angry Buddha Lotus Flame, 4 above Xiao Zhan's hands, 2 flames burning in different colors. These 2 flames, like fire seeds, appeared, crazily absorbed the surrounding heaven and earth energy. Due to the massive absorption of heaven and earth energy, even with the fire seed's characteristic of absorbing external energy, at this moment it couldn't be fully refined. The 2 flames burst out uncontrollably. The 2 layers of flames around Xiao Zhan's body also converged into his hands. He compressed the 2 flames together, causing them to spin wildly. The cores of the 2 flames continued to rotate, maintaining a delicate balance into one. They formed a lotus of fire emitting both red and green colors. 7th Elder's enormous clear sky hammer fell down, its terrifying force even causing the surrounding air to freeze. 7th Elder's 9th spirit ring shimmered, his strength once again ascending to a new level out of thin air. The angry Buddha Lotus Flame, Xiao Zhan quickly stepped back. Boom! Underneath the fire demon true body, the energy impact from the eruption of the angry Buddha Lotus Flame was partially nullified. The remaining impact was weakened as Xiao Zhan used the 2 fire seeds within his body to absorb as much of the different flames as possible, significant damage. As for 7th Elder, who faced the eruption of the angry Buddha Lotus Flame head-on, he felt as if he were facing the former sect master himself. The eruption of the angry Buddha Lotus Flame instilled a deep-seated fear in everyone's heart stalemate. However, 7th Elder was too close to the core of the angry Buddha Lotus Flame's explosion. Despite the clear sky hammer, most of the explosion's shockwaves, bursts of explosive flames still escaped, severely injuring him. Bang! 7th Elder flew back tens of meters, crashing heavily to the ground with burns covering his body, accompanied by emerald green and dark red flames. Zhu Qing's pupils contracted sharply. This was her first time witnessing Xiao Zhan's eruption. So powerful. Even with her innate level 20 soul power, she felt immense pressure at this moment. She dared not speculate whether she could unleash such power surpassing her level like Xiao Zhan had just done. You should know, 7th Elder, though only a level 92 titled Douluo, possesses the clear sky hammer martial spirit. Despite some incongruities with his spirit ring attachments, he undoubtedly ranks among the highest in explosive power among attack-type titled Douluos. Moreover, 7th Elder has augmented the disorder-splitting wind hammer technique to 81 hammers 1 among titled Douluos with a clear sky hammer martial spirit. He is top tier at his level, even without the boost from disorder-splitting winds. This is because disorder-splitting wind requires augmentation, which enemies do not give them the chance to do. At most, opponents will allow them to augment 5 or 6 hammers in battle before finding ways to interrupt it. 7th Elder's dual hammer style allows for swift attacks, and generally, opponents of the same level can interrupt him before he reaches 10 augmentations. However, Xiao Zhan indeed forcefully clashed with 7th Elder and persisted until 7th Elder reached 81 augmentations. This strike can be compared to the full force blow of a peak level 95th grade attack type Super Douluo. Su Wen's ability to kill title Douluo beyond his level initially stemmed from Tang Hao's state limitations, which restricted him to only unleashing power at the Spirit Douluo level. However, even so, he already astonished this breakthrough in levels shattered records in the Spirit Master realm. Jin Ringsu deeply respects Su Wen for this. However, now she admires another Spirit Master, Xiao Zhan. At level 89, he could unleash such power at full strength. Although it was bolstered by Ningfengzi, it cannot be denied that his basic combat power is also exaggerated. He crosses this current bottleneck and possesses 2 spirit cores. His ability to surpass levels will reach its maximum. Even if the 2 spirit cores are only in resonance, the boost to the Spirit Master is terrifying. When the 9th spirit ring is added at that time, it is estimated that even without Ningfengzi's assistance, Xiao Zhan can unleash power equivalent to that of a level 96 Super Douluo. Of course, this is the power of a level 96 Super Douluo in the current era. Besides Zhu Qing, Meng Shenji's figure is no longer concealed. As he watches the battlefield of the recent peak duel, deep in his eyes lies profound shock. Xiao-zan, how so strong? Much stronger than his board of education. What are you still looking at? Attack, Tang Xiao roared. Only then did the 5 accompanying spirit masters react. They hadn't realized until now that they had been mere spectators. Meng Shenji frowned and sighed. Sect Master Ning, please, augmentation. He still had hope of holding off the opponents. Su Wen has already demonstrated powerful strength at the Spirit Master competition. Now that he has broken through to Spirit Emperor, he should be able to handle the 3 great Spirit Saints, right? At this moment, Tang Xiao's heart trembled, his soul power surged, and his voice echoed within a radius of several dozen kilometers. Are you not coming out yet? Certainly, there are hidden Spirit Masters in the dark. Now, the situation has reached a stalemate. They can't afford to delay any longer. As Tang Xiao's voice fell, another Spirit Douluo dashed out from behind Su Wen and the others, heading straight to strike Su Wen. Meng Shenji's expression slightly changed. The 7th spirit ring shimmered as he manifested his martial spirit true body. His martial spirit is the Black Goblin, a rare spiritual attribute martial spirit. His spirit skills lean towards spiritual control. Ha, Meng Shenji, your martial spirit can't control me, the Spirit Douluo launching the ambush laughed triumphantly. His complexion was pale at this moment. Using some unknown method, he forcibly blocked Meng Shenji's Spirit Shock, Spiritual Confusion, and Black Goblin Dreamland, 3 major spirit skills. Today, Su Wen must die. The Spirit Douluo's eyes were filled with madness. From all directions, more than 3 Spirit Saints and over 10 Spirit Emperors rushed out. Su Wen's Wisdom Palace unexpectedly touched the interests of so many people, all converging in this explosive moment. Meng Shenji's expression changed, clearly in a worse situation than originally anticipated. Zhu Qing's face also looked grim, torn between revealing her protection of the sacrificial guard. However, as she glanced over, she noticed that Ning Fengzi's expression, though grim, was not panicked rushing to have them act, observing Su Wen's response. A fluctuation in spatial energy, a figure traversed through space and arrived in front of Su Wen. Falling into his embrace, 2 brilliant light erupted from both figures. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 213, Today, you all will die. Today, you all will die, Su Wen's voice resounded in all directions. After a dazzling light, a massive 9-layered pagoda appeared in sight. This pagoda was extremely splendid. Unlike the 9 treasure-glazed tile pagoda, it had streams of flowing light composed of characters swirling around it, and pages of books rotating around its surroundings. It seemed like the pagoda was the core, but the true essence was actually a book. The pagoda emitted brilliant light, and the pages floating and rotating around it also emitted dazzling radiance. Ningrongrong's 4 spirit skills now possessed a 100% increase in amplification. At this moment, both sides' spirit fusion techniques were still in the confidential realm, and the concealed information was still prepared to be kept hidden. This spirit fusion technique did not display auxiliary doubling effects, nor did it reveal the forbidden law domain. It was solely for amplifying Su Wen. The spirit fusion technique compensated for Su Wen's martial spirit true body's shortcomings, making him seem like he had unleashed the 7th spirit skill, martial spirit true body, and then received 100% amplification. As the pages fluttered, they swiftly transformed the surroundings into the world in a book. Golden streams of light pervaded throughout the world in a book, resembling chains that could become weapons at Su Wen's command at any moment. The approaching Spirit Douluo's expression changed slightly. However, to resist Meng Shenji's control through the Black Goblin, he had already depleted his own condition. If he were to retreat now, he would only end up in a passive situation. The remaining Spirit Saints who rushed out hesitated for a moment, then continued to charge towards Su Wen, unleashing their peak attacks. Seeing that Ning Fengzi did not amplify him, Meng Shenji's heart sank, but he did not blame Ning Fengzi. Because Su Wen's display of the spirit fusion technique now explained the reason. Ning Fengzi believed that with the spirit fusion technique in effect, there was no need for additional amplification. Meng Shenji even speculated that Ning Fengzi believed that under the spirit fusion technique state, Su Wen and he had a chance to resolve the current situation. How could this be possible? However, under the current circumstances, teammates could only trust each other. As enemies, whether it was Tang Xiao or other assailants, they could only hope for opportunities, aiming for a single fatal blow to complete their assassination mission. different perspectives and lead to different psychological biases. Especially this assassination attempt forced them into a situation where they had to fight to the death. Otherwise, they could easily end up in opposition to the entire Spirit Master world. They could only kill Su Wen state. It bridged the chasm brought by solid soul power, granting him absolute combat power at the level of a titled Douluo. The world in a book unfolded, pages fluttering, transforming into multiple incarnations of Su Wen. One spirit bones drifted out from the pagoda, integrating into these incarnations of Su Wen. At this moment, Su Wen, in the state of spirit fusion technique, created 5 external avatars, each based on a 10,000 years old spirit bone, capable of unleashing power far surpassing Su Wen's normal state. Because these 5 10,000 years old spirit bones are all top grade. Engaged in a struggle with Bone Douluo from a distance, Tang Xiao's eyes were slightly red, blood vessels appearing in his eyes, as he kept his attention focused here. This was because among the spirit bones Su Wen used to construct his external avatars, 2 belonged to the inheritance of the Clear Sky sect. In addition to the 2 spirit bones from the Clear Sky sect, among the remaining 3, 2 came as rewards from the Spirit Master competition. They are the Exploding Flame Right Arm Bone rewarded from the competition and the Focusing Wisdom Skull. The last piece, also a top-grade spirit bone, is the 6,000-year-old left arm bone of the Great Strength Demonic Ape from Tanghao. Top-grade spirit bones as the foundation, Su Wen's external avatars, constructed around spirit bones, possessed combat power equivalent to his original body. The 5 external incarnations of Su Wen, each utilizing spirit bone techniques, maximize the eruption of their spirit bone skills. Among them, besides the external incarnation centered around the Focusing Wisdom Skull, the remaining 4 are attack-type spirit bone techniques. Combined with Su Wen's Heaven Opening Seal, the power they unleash is far beyond what the 3 Spirit Saints and over 10 Spirit Emperors rushing forward can match. As for the external incarnation formed by the Focusing Wisdom Skull, it launched a spirit shock using its spirit bone techniques against the approaching Spirit Douluo. Already enduring Meng Shenji's dispersing spiritual-type spirit skills from the Black Goblin and forcefully resisting, this wildly frenzied Spirit Douluo had long been nearing his limits. Under this spirit shock, cracks immediately appeared in his sea of consciousness. His head throbbed with pain, his eyes turned crimson, and his soul power momentarily faltered. The external incarnation formed by the Focusing Wisdom Skull moved forward, using the Heaven Opening Seal to intercept and block the spirit skill he had prepared earlier. The 5 external incarnations swiftly blocked this wave of attacks, then promptly erupted. In Su Wen's hands, Spirit Saints and Spirit Emperors were as vulnerable as chicks. Though not outright defeating them instantly, he effortlessly suppressed them and completely sealed off any possibility of escape. Meanwhile, the frenzied Spirit Douluo was held back by Su Wen's incarnations of wisdom. As the battle progressed, one incarnation swiftly resolved its fight and, in coordination with the wisdom incarnation, subdued the frenzied Spirit Douluo in a 2-on-1 scenario. Senior Meng Shenji, I leave this person to you, Su Wen calmly stated. Got it. After a brief hesitation, Meng Shenji followed Su Wen's instructions and moved to collaborate with the 2 incarnations to eliminate the frenzied Spirit Douluo. Originally prepared to confront 2 old Spirit Douluo who appeared alongside Tang Xiao from afar, now he naturally hesitated to comply with Su Wen's command to deal with the frenzied Spirit Douluo. However, Su Wen's words must have reason. After all, Su Wen has already demonstrated the ability to reverse the course of battle with him. Split body techniques. Heavens. 5 Spirit Douluo level powers. What kind of spirit skill is this? It's simply unbelievable. Although it is based on 5 exceptional spirit bones that emit storing soul power fluctuations even across a distance, these are still powers equivalent to 5 Spirit Douluo. 5 spirit bones for 5 Spirit Douluo. Many major powers would seriously consider this, especially as it's a temporary exchange. By the end of the battle, the 5 spirit bones suffered no losses. Xiao's body, 2 yellow and 2 purple spirit rings instantly exploded. The Clear Sky sect's ultimate secret, the Great Sumeru Hammer, is traditionally passed down to only one person, but that doesn't mean only one person knows this technique. In extraordinary times, one must do extraordinary things. After Tang Hao's death, Tang Xiao inherited the sect's legacy and practiced the Great Sumeru Hammer. Clear Sky 9 Absolutes. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 214, 7th Elder's Resentment, Tang Xiao's Despair. The greatest reliance of the attackers was actually their numerical advantage. The moment Xiaozan unleashed his strength to match 7th Elder head-on, the battle on the field reached a balance. At least, this was the understanding of most people present. However, this attack was a gamble from the start. Since they made their move, the attackers had to give their all to kill Su Wen, or the consequences would be endless. On the other hand, Meng Shenji and the others, who were protecting Su Wen, aimed to fend off this wave of assault. In the balanced situation, there was still hope. However, with Su Wen using the spirit fusion technique, revealing the incarnations of 5 old spirit Douluo level beings, the battle power became completely unbalanced. At this moment, Tang Xiao and the others understood that the two sides were no longer matched. Even if he unleashed the ring explosion secret technique and the great Sumeru hammer, he couldn't guarantee success. On the contrary, if they continued to entangle, they would be dragged to death. Tang Xiao made a decisive decision, exploding 4 spirit rings, his power erupting as he performed the Clear Sky 9 absolutes. The blood red and dark golden patterns on the clear sky hammered with dazzling light. Boom! Bone Douluo Gurong was repelled. Tang Xiao swiftly headed towards 7th Elder's position, and the two sides were about to converge. Heaven opening seal, Su Wen, merging his true form with Ning Rongrong's martial spirit, launched his first attack. The previous 5 incarnations only had his usual burst combat power. But Su Wen's true form in the spirit fusion technique state was stronger. 3 heaven opening seals blasted in 3 different directions. One seal landed in front of Tang Xiao, another headed towards 7th Elder. The third seal blasted towards one of the other 2 old spirit Douluos. Pages scattered, and the entire battlefield was enveloped by them. Su Wen's domain fully expanded, covering everyone. 1A pressure emerged out of thin air. Each page seemed to form an illusory space, an illusory world. Ning Rongrong, who was fused with Su Wen's martial spirit, clearly felt it, as if a huge, magnificent pupil burst with dazzling light. At this moment, everything seemed dreamlike sky. Creating the mountain of books and sea of knowledge was not just a physical task for Su Wen, nor was it merely working in vain. He had his own gains. Meng Shenji was also in a daze because he felt the effects similar to his 3rd, 4th, and 6th spirit skills from Su Wen's The World in a Book. No, it wasn't just his spirit skills. He also sensed the effects of many other spiritual type spirit skills. Spiritual chaos, spiritual confusion, illusion space, and so on. Besides his own spirit skills, in Su Wen's numerous illusion spaces constructed from those pages, he saw a wealth of scenes, truly encompassing everything. His expression was dazed. Su Wen, is he still human? How could he possibly construct such a vast illusion? Indeed, the ability Su Wen was using now appeared to Meng Shenji as an illusion. But the framework of this illusion was too large, so large that hundreds or even thousands of pages each outline illusion spaces, supplemented by various spiritual type spirit skills to confuse the enemy, thus forming a large-scale illusion. At this moment, all the enemies in the battle were affected. Even if they could briefly resist the erosion of one illusion, could they resist the erosion of dozens of illusion spaces entering their view? Boom! Tang Xiao detonated his 5th ring. The pain and the surge of soul power from the ring explosion kept him awake, allowing him to resist Su Wen's illusion erosion. He swung the clear sky hammer in his hand fiercely towards the descending heaven opening seal time. The space within it became increasingly real, and the elements of earth, fire, water, and wind began to evolve further. Their power combined more harmoniously, and the space power was perfectly integrated into the heaven opening seal. Boom! Not only Tang Xiao, but 7th Elder and another spirit Douluo also were awed by the terrifying pressure of the heaven opening seal. Combined with the confusion of the illusion, 7th Elder could only hastily activate his spirit ring. He launched his 9th spirit skill, but he couldn't gather his full strength and could only make a hurried defense. Puff! 7th Elder, already heavily injured, spewed out a mouthful of blood at this moment, mixed with numerous internal organ fragments. The clear sky hammer dissipated from his hand. His eyes widened in fury as he stared in Su Wen's direction. The intent to kill still uncontained, but deep in his eyes at this moment, there was also profound resentment. The World in a Book, golden light streams flashed one after another, transforming into sharp silver wind blades that slashed mercilessly at the defenseless 7th Elder. In his final moments, 7th Elder's gaze towards Tang Xiao also held resentment. It's all because of you two brothers, 7th Elder stared with wide eyes, his life force extinguished. On the other side, Another spirit Douluo fared even worse than 7th Elder. He was not only intimidated by Su Wen's heaven opening seal but also confused by the illusion, unable to even use his spirit skills. Though he was in his prime, under this heaven opening seal, he too suffered severe injuries. The golden light transformed into silver wind blades, shuttling through the space, unavoidable. This spirit Douluo was instantly on the brink of death. The pagoda surrounded by countless pages seemed motionless, yet it gave the impression that its gaze was shifting, looking towards others. The last spirit Douluo's body was covered in goosebumps, with infinite fear rising in his heart. So terrifying, Tang Xiao also roared in anger, detonating his 6th ring. His eyes were bloodshot, the faint red and dark golden patterns on the clear sky hammer vanished, turning pure black. He swung the hammer towards Bone Douluo. After the recent delay, Bone Douluo had already prepared himself, launching another attack towards Tang Xiao. The illusion confused their minds. Spirit saints who charged out barely held on for 10 breaths before being killed by Su Wen's external incarnations. The frenzied spirit Douluo, along with the 5 external incarnations and Meng Shenji's encirclement, fell victim to the illusion and was killed due to mistakes. Among the initial 5 who appeared with Tang Xiao, the last spirit Douluo and 3 spirit saints attempted to escape, but had no way out. The 3 spirit saints were specifically targeted by Su Wen, their sea of consciousness receiving a bombardment. The impact wasn't strong, but it was swift and abrupt. Their sea of consciousness trembled, invaded by illusions, and they lost any chance of escape. Watching each assassin being killed by Su Wen, Tang Xiao's heart grew increasingly furious and powerless, even faintly desperate. Today, all of you will die. Su Wen's words were not wrong. If things continued like this, even if Tang Xiao detonated all 9 spirit rings, he might still be entangled to death. Bone Douluo's offensive power was somewhat lacking, but his defense was truly abnormal. Coupled with Ning Fengzi's 4th spirit skill for defense and the strongest attribute boost from his 6th spirit skill, he could now withstand a level 97 Super Douluo in defense. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 215, Void Douluo. Currently, of the ambush team at the border, only the last 3 spirit saints and Tang Xiao from the Clear Sky sect remain. 2 title Douluo, 3 spirit Douluo, 6 spirit saints, and more than 10 spirit emperors have been reduced to just Tang Xiao. These 3 spirit saints have also been trapped by Su Wen's illusions. This means that now, only Tang Xiao remains on the battlefield. Looking at the devastated battlefield, his gaze fell upon the corpse of the 7th Elder, deployed, causing a pang in Tang Xiao's heart. He thought about the resolute decision he made before coming here, and now he was starting to regret it. The time he spent cultivating the Great Sumeru Hammer was too short. Currently, he can only withstand up to the explosion of 5 rings. Perhaps he could try to explode more spirit rings to gain stronger power, but that would undoubtedly lead to a certain death. In such a desperate situation, he began to feel some fear. This is the difference between me and Hao, Tang Xiao mocked himself, his crimson eyes gradually clearing. At this moment, Su Wen had already condensed wind blades and killed the last 3 spirit saints. Bone Douluo remained vigilant, not giving Tang Xiao any chance to escape. Tang Xiao, as I said, today your Clear Sky sect should be disbanded. Above the pagoda of the spirit fusion technique, a phantom of Su Wen appeared, with a pagoda as the background and golden light swirling around him, making him appear godlike. At this moment, even Zhu King couldn't help but glance sideways, a hint of surprise in his eyes. Zhang Jun and Zhang Long, hidden in the dark, also couldn't help but sigh. Yet he already has a grand demeanor. Tang Xiao looked at Su Wen's phantom, and the hatred in his eyes slowly dissipated. You killed Haote under the guise of revenge. I want to know, what grudge do you hold? Refuse his final question. The grudge of killing my father and killing my mother, exterminating my lineage. In Su Wen's family, there were only 3 members. With his parents killed, he was the sole survivor. Calling it an extermination of a lineage might be an exaggeration, but it was close enough. Tang Xiao chuckled lightly, though it was unclear whether it was self-mockery or something else, tears of blood streaming down his cheeks. Ah, fate, this is fate, he sighed repeatedly. However, in the next moment, his face suddenly turned ferocious, like a wild beast about to devour its prey. But you should not have killed him in such a manner. You should not have insulted the dignity of our Clear Sky sect. Tang Xiao once again became filled with killing intent. If his previous intent was impure, now, it seemed his thoughts had become clearer. and his killing intent was intensely concentrated. For your revenge, you killed Haoti. I have nothing to say. But for our Clear Sky Sect's revenge, we will inevitably kill you. Tang Xiao's soul power fluctuations began to become unstable. He's breaking through. Gurong was surprised. Previously, Tang Xiao's soul power was around level 95. As he continued to rise, each level was not just about the concentration of soul power. Now, it seemed he had some sort of comprehension. His soul power began to fluctuate, showing signs of a breakthrough. However, this fluctuation quickly stabilized again. Tang Xiao suddenly looked at Su Wen, unable to believe it. How is this possible? Just moments ago, Tang Xiao had felt the sensation of a breakthrough. Now, he found his soul power no longer fluctuating, but incredibly stable. He clearly felt it moments ago, but now that imminent breakthrough sensation had vanished. Perhaps, if he continued secluding himself for some time, he could swiftly achieve a breakthrough. However, lacking that impulse, he was definitely unable to undergo evolution on the spot. Yet, it had clearly been there, and now it was abruptly interrupted. Tang Xiao looked towards Su Wen's phantom, his eyes filled with even more apprehension. Elder, aren't you going to make a move? Tang Xiao's voice was deep. His words caused Ning Fengzi and the others to subtly change their expressions. Someone else? And Tang Xiao addressed him as Elder. However, Su Wen's phantom remained placid, gazing towards the sky behind Tang Xiao. There, a figure slowly emerged from the spatial rifts. Clad in white robes, middle-aged in appearance, what caught the eye was a peculiar silver mark on his forehead. Ning Fengzi's pupils contracted. Such methods involved special power. No wonder Clear Sky Sect dared to undertake this operation. They knew Su Wen had the ability of space shuttle, yet still attempted to assassinate him, because they also had the confidence to counter Su Wen's space shuttle. May I ask for your name, sir? Ning Fengzi asked in a solemn voice. In the air, the middle-aged man in white robes looked complex, and slowly spoke. Douluo, Douluo? Never heard of him. Even Su Wen had no memory related to this Douluo. No need to wonder. I haven't revealed my strength on the continent, so you wouldn't know of my existence. Because of some acquaintance with Tang Chen, I intend to protect Tang Xiao this time. Gentlemen, please drop your weapons. Tang Chen. Ning Fengzi was shaken. Except for him, the others were somewhat puzzled, clearly unfamiliar with Tang Chen. Only Zhu King showed slight surprise. The two hidden protectors, Zhang Jun and Zhang Long, were also secretly astonished. Connected to Tang Chen, this Douluo was certainly not simple. Especially the way Douluo had just appeared, undoubtedly involved the use of special power. 97th level, spatial attribute martial spirit, Su Wen said casually. 97th level? Upon hearing Su Wen's words, Ning Fengzi finally breathed a sigh of relief. If it were 99th level, there would be no doubt. However, this relief was relative. Even if it was only 97th level, a martial spirit with a special attribute itself represented great strength. This Douluo in terms of ability might not be inferior to Peerless Douluo at 99th level. Su Wen, you are outstanding, very strong, a genius that is rare in the continent for tens of millions of years. I do not wish to conflict with you, Douluo said earnestly as he looked at Su Wen. Today, I'm saving Tang Xiao's life. I hope everyone will not interfere. As for the grudge between Clear Sky Sect and you, I will not intervene after repaying Tang Chen's favor today, Su Wen sneered. I've already said, today they all stay here. Any spirit master who intervenes will die, he pronounced each word deliberately as he looked at Douluo, saying, even if gods descend, this won't change. Douluo's gaze sharpened, eyes narrowing, emitting a dangerous aura. You brat, bold words indeed. Do you truly understand the greatness of gods? He retorted. Su Wen remained composed. Facing the pressure brought by Douluo without fear, even questioning back, Douluo, are you sure you want to involve yourself in today's conflict? As a super Douluo at the 97th level with special attribute, Su Wen couldn't kill Douluo. However, if the other dared to intervene today, Su Wen made it clear he would remember this grudge. Even though Douluo was so attuned to space and had such high control over it. Even though he was enveloped in a strong layer of faith, Su Wen had stated clearly, today, not even a god could take Tang Xiao away. Moreover, this Douluo is not a god. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 216, The First Encounter with a God's Inheritance. Are you sure that by intervening in the feud between me and Clear Sky Sect today, the person behind you has no objections? Su Wen said in a deep voice. He speculated that this Void Douluo might be a guardian of a deity, similar to Jin Daoliu and Si God Douluo Bosexi. After all, the dense power of faith did not belong to Void Douluo himself, indicating that Void Douluo had connections with a deity. At level 97, it couldn't be a mere connection. Hearing Su Wen's question, Void Douluo narrowed his eyes and stared intently at Su Wen's phantom, as if trying to discern whether Su Wen knew something. The others were also somewhat puzzled by Su Wen's words. Except for Zhu King, whose eyes flickered as if he understood the meaning behind Su Wen's words, everyone else thought that there was an even more powerful existence behind Void Douluo. And beyond level 97, there were only the Super Douluos at levels 98 and 99. Ning Fengzi's heart sank. He whispered to Su Wen, "Xiao, what's going on? Do you know this Void Douluo? Is there an even stronger existence behind him?" Su Wen responded with spiritual power. "Uncle Ning, don't worry. I'll explain the situation to you after this is over." Hearing Su Wen's calm tone in the transmitted message, Ning Fengzi breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, a multitude of thoughts surged in his mind. Evidently, there was still a figure like Void Douluo on this continent, and perhaps there were more. This was beyond Ning Fengzi's expectations and made him feel somewhat unfamiliar with the continent. In fact, from the information inherited from the 7 treasure glazed tile sect, he knew that there were many hidden old monsters on the continent. After all, at the Super Douluo level, spirit masters generally had very long lifespans. Moreover, spirit masters who reached this level often chose to retreat into seclusion after resolving the issues of their early lives. This seemed to have become a norm. A level 99 limit Douluo would have a lifespan of at least 300 years. If they were exceptionally gifted, they would typically go into seclusion before the age of 100, meaning there would be no news of them for the next 200 years, though they still existed as powerful beings. No one even knew when they would leave this world. Ning Fengzi knew that the continent's powerful beings were not as simple as they appeared on the surface, but he hadn't expected to encounter one directly like this. Clear Sky Sect can still connect with a level 97 space attribute titled Douluo. This is not good news. However, the good news is that this Void Douluo has some apprehensions. Otherwise, the Void Douluo invited by Clear Sky Sect would not have stayed hidden in the void until now. Only showing up after Tang Xiao's reminder talent is astounding, but you haven't fully grown yet. Don't be too arrogant, Void Douluo said in a deep voice. His voice was somewhat cold. Although he was apprehensive of Su Wen, he had reached the level of Super Douluo over 100 years ago and was immensely powerful. Being spoken to so rudely by a teenager like Su Wen naturally didn't sit well with him. Moreover, he was apprehensive of Su Wen, not afraid of him. "Oh? Are you going to oppose my entire wisdom palace?" Su Wen said, squinting his eyes. As Su Wen's words fell, Void Douluo's scalp tingled, and he had a bad premonition. Su Wen's words could indeed represent the entire wisdom palace at this moment. The importance of a leader's words in a major force is self-evident. Even in a long-standing power like Spirit Hall, the words of Pope Ibidong have a comprehensive impact on the entire Spirit Hall. Much more so for Su Wen, who single-handedly established the Wisdom Palace when he is the founder. The absolute spiritual leader. Thus, when Su Wen spoke, countless collisions of faith occurred instantly. Void Douluo felt a burning sensation from the mark on his forehead, and a message entered his mind. His expression became serious. "Young man, what you just said was a bit too harsh. However, I have had a relationship with Tang Chen, the ancestor of Clear Sky Sect, and I owe him a favor. Today, if you spare Tang Xiao, I promise to do 3 things for you." Su Wen narrowed his eyes. "I refuse." One Void Douluo's face turned ugly again. Despite saying so much, was he still not giving him any face? However, Su Wen's next words changed the tone, making Void Douluo's expression somewhat better. "Senior, I can't let Tang Xiao go, but if you want to repay Tang Chen's favor, I can spare a direct descendant of Clear Sky Sect after all. Strictly speaking, he is the true heir of Tang Chen, not Tang Xiao." Oh, listening to the comparison between Tang San and Tang Xiao, Void Douluo weighed the situation internally and found it made sense. Tang San was more legitimate than Tang Xiao. Even though Tang Xiao was the sect master of Clear Sky Sect, Tang San's father, Tang Hao, was the clear sky Douluo of this generation and the true heir of Tang Chen. As Tang Hao's son, Tang San could be considered the most talented of his generation in Clear Sky sect and the future successor of Clear Sky Douluo. Su Wen, twisting the truth. Saying you'll spare Xia isn't as just because you can't find his whereabouts, Tang Xiao snorted, interrupting Su Wen and Void Daluo's conversation. Tang Xiao, wisdom palaces spread across the continent. No matter where Tang San hides, there will always be clues. Moreover, I think Senior Void Daluo wouldn't believe I can't find Tang San, Su Wen said, looking at Tang Xiao with a cold and slightly mocking gaze. Spirit masters of Clear Sky sect aren't very bright. Void Daluo needs a way out. Can't you see? He is apprehensive of me, or rather, under the threat of opposing Wisdom Palace's faith, he has been warned by the deity behind him not to conflict with me. What's needed now is a way out. Whether I don't act against Tang San because I can't find him or because I'm giving face to Void Daluo, does it matter? It doesn't matter. At the very least, Void Daluo now believes that if Su Wen wants to find Tang San, he can definitely do so. Tang Xiao's heart sank. He's not stupid. As the head of a sect, he sensed something was wrong when he felt the situation was off. He could already feel that Void Daluo seemed unwilling to help him anymore. Why does Wisdom Palace, a newly established force, have such a great deterrent power? Tang Xiao couldn't understand. He didn't believe it was because of the many elders in Wisdom Palace. After all, even though Wisdom Palace's current setup is luxurious, it's still a new force with relatively inexperienced personnel. Except for the 3 honorary elders from the 7 treasure glazed tile sect, the other elders in Wisdom Palace were just ordinary title Douluo. To Super Douluo, this shouldn't be that intimidating. Meanwhile, Su Wen felt a sense of relief and some excitement in his heart. It seems I have come into contact with information about a divine inheritance. If I can have a conversation with this Void Daluo, I wonder if I might be able to get a test. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 217, Fighting to the Death. Su Wen really can't find Tang San? The answer is definitely it's a lie. Not to mention, after the establishment of Wisdom Palace, the control over Spirit Master's information will be even stricter than the current Spirit Hall's Spirit Master level. By then, with the development of the virtual world, the efficiency of searching for Tang San will be unimaginably fast. It's equivalent to the entire continent being networked, with all places monitoring integrated into a unified program. As long as you search, you can always find him. This is Wisdom Palace. The reason for giving Void Daluo this face is just to try to make contact with the other party, see if he can find the god's inheritance behind him, and try to benefit from the other's assessment. Su Wen didn't dare to be certain about Sea God's attitude towards him in the assessment. After all, according to the original work, Sea God tends to be domineering. In case he forcibly imposes the divine assessment on Su Wen, or for other reasons decides to act against Su Wen would have no place to cry. Instead, the deity behind Void Daluo seems promising. Because Su Wen's opposition based on his own belief in Wisdom Palace unexpectedly led to the other party's retreat. If, under these circumstances, Su Wen could still attempt the assessment through Void Daluo, it would mean that the deity behind him not only acknowledged Su Wen's path towards creating his own divine position, but also found him easy to deal with. Of course, most importantly, Su Wen's speculation about the identity of this deity. Void Daluo, possessing a special attribute martial spirit. There are very few martial spirits with special attributes on the entire continent. Even Bone Douluo only has the ability to shuttle through space to a certain extent, possessing some special attributes, but not as a primary attribute. Su Wen's heavenly book is supplemented with a special attribute. After modifications by Void Silver Moon Taper and subsequently the Dark Devilga Tiger, 2 major spirit rings, it's still uncertain whether it is a primary special attribute. However, Void Daluo should have a primary special attribute. With such a martial spirit, Su Wen believes that the deity behind him is most likely the Space God. In the Douluo Divine Realm, the Space God is only a first-level deity, which is quite rare, but undoubtedly among the more powerful of the first-level deities, representing rare strength in its own right. In that case, I dare not question Senior Void's choice. I only ask that you, Senior, consider the face of Tang Chen, the previous Clear Sky Douluo of my Clear Sky sect, and ensures Ayazin's safety, Tang Xiao said solemnly, bowing to Void Douluo. Today, he might really have no way out. Tang Xiao couldn't predict Clear Sky sect's future attitude towards Tang San, or whether it would be annihilated as Su Wen had said. However, regardless of the circumstances, Tang San's future days will not be easy. Fortunately, before this operation, he had temporarily arranged Tang San's safety and imparted all the cultivation secrets of the cultivation Clear Sky Hammer. Don't worry, this is my debt to Tang Chen, Void Douluo said calmly. Su Wen, our grievances will be settled between us next. Tang Xiao approached slowly, his soul power fluctuating, with only 4 black spirit rings remaining outside his body. Among them, the innermost 6th spirit ring faintly gave a sense of fragmentation. Boom. The 6th ring exploded, and Tang Xiao's aura suddenly soared. For Haodi's death, I will make you pay with your life, Tang Xiao shouted loudly, instantly blasting off the 7th and 8th rings, blood bursting from his body, enveloped in a mist of bloody color. He unleashed the Clear Sky 9 Absolute. Gurong also reacted immediately, using his 9th spirit skill, causing his bone dragon true body to start shimmering with gray-white light. Clear Sky 9 Absolute, shock, borrowing strength to strike, Tang Xiao hammered down, and through Bone Douluo, a terrifying force continued to spread and sweep towards Ningfengzi's direction. Gurong's face the world in a book, space overturned and flipped. Because of Void Douluo's sudden appearance, although Su Wen responded in time, he hadn't left everything unprepared. After all, as a super Douluo with a special attribute, Su Wen did not dare to be careless. He had already maximized his control over the world in a book while speaking. The world in a book seemed to transform into layers of space. Although Tang Xiao was clearly charging towards Su Wen, he ended up getting farther and farther away from him. Not only that, the force of his Clear Sky Hammer inexplicably fell upon himself under the chaotic and inverted space. Howling Sky Douluo, rest assured, although after today Clear Sky sect may likely be expelled, the Clear Sky Hammer martial spirit is ultimately a top-tier tool martial spirit. I will preserve 1 or 2 bloodlines of the Clear Sky Hammer for future generations. The diversity of martial spirits must be preserved. Of course, it cannot be the direct lineage of Tang San or the current main line of Clear Sky sect. At most, it would be a collateral bloodline separated by several. Tang Xiao snorted coldly, wielding the Clear Sky Hammer and striking towards the space ahead. Break, with combined force, swift and shattering, space shattered. Tang Xiao swiftly charged towards Su Wen. The Clear Sky Hammer collided with a pagoda formed by Su Wen and Ningrongrong's spirit fusion technique. Brilliant streams of light clashed with black soul power. Boom, slightly. Such strong defense? In that case, this spirit fusion technique not only enhanced Su Wen's abilities in various aspects but also provided him with formidable defense. Although parts of the world inner book space were shattered by the attack, Su Wen quickly repaired and perfected it, causing Tang Xiao's attacks to continuously go awry. In the air, watching the battle below and witnessing Su Wen's use of various special abilities, Void Douluo's eyes kept flickering. It must be admitted that Su Wen was not inferior to him in the use of special power. And Su Wen did not seem to rely on the spirit skills obtained by the spirit ring to reach this level, but only relied on the basic control of special power to develop these self-created spirit skills bit by bit. Tang Xiao's 9th ring exploded. At this moment, he seemed to have turned into Blood Man. The soul power was also dyed bloody. The Clear Sky Hammer was covered with bloody lines. Boom. This blow exploded with his peak power. However, Su Wen did not resist it. The space changed, and the hammer fell on the distant hill. Boom. The rocks were broken and the earth shook. After Tang Xiao made this blow, he fell to the ground with a bang. Although his death was miserable, as the leader of the Clear Sky sect, he died in battle. He did his best, unleashing his peak power. Too bad, Su Wen was so cautious the scene fell silent. The team that came to attack Su Wen this time was unprecedentedly powerful, but now they had all been killed in retaliation. Golden light subsided, the 9-layered pagoda shimmered brightly, and the figures of Su Wen and Ningrongrong reappeared. Senior Void, I think we should have some things to discuss. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 218 Conflict and Cognitive Recognition of Douluo's Lifespan. Tang Xiao's death didn't have much impact on Su Wen. There was no sense of vengeance. Nor was there the thrill of retaliation after being assassinated. After all, everything was within calculations. Regarding the Clear Sky sect, Su Wen didn't express a hostile attitude, but hostility between both sides had clearly formed. To wipe out the entire sect for the sake of one person's revenge seemed too extreme to Su Wen, so he never considered annihilating the Clear Sky sect. However, Clear Sky sect was undoubtedly too powerful. Their 6 titled Doulous even clashed constantly with Spirit Hall, behaving arrogantly. Even towards the powerful Spirit Hall, their attitude is such. What about towards Su Wen, who possesses their sect's 6 pieces of 10,000 years old spirit bones, including 2 top-quality spirit bones of the sect's inheritance, as a spirit king? Currently, with Clear Sky sect losing 2 titled Doulous, if Spirit Hall seizes the opportunity today to launch an attack on Clear Sky sect, undoubtedly, Clear Sky sect would truly fall. In that case, there would be no more hostile relationship with Su Wen. Of course, if Clear Sky sect continues to oppose Su Wen under Tang San's influence, then this sect really has no reason to exist. As for Tang San, Su Wen will certainly kill him, but he is not in a hurry. Without the inheritance of the sea god, without that nanny-style nurturing, even if Tang San still coincidentally obtains the inheritance of the Azure god, he cannot reach the divine level before 30 years old. Records of becoming a god on their 20s are all fallacies from the beginning. In the original work, anyone who became a god before 30 years old was all fed with resources from the beginning to the end. Of course, Su Wen wasn't in a hurry either, just decided not to act on Tang San for the time being because of Void Daluo's face. When Su Wen's strength completely surpasses Void Daluo's, or when he accomplishes his goal through Void Daluo and connects with a god's inheritance behind him, he will not spare Tang San anymore. Su Wen invited Void Daluo. Void Daluo did not show any signs of refusal either. With spatial fluctuations, he disappeared into the air, appearing elsewhere, and erupted with soul power fluctuations so Su Wen could sense his location. Su Wen also headed to Void Daluo's location. Ning Fengzi intercepted Su Wen, hesitating to speak, while Ning Rongrong looked at Su Wen with a slight hint of worry. Brother Xiaoan, be safe, don't worry, since he remained indifferent when Tang Xiao died, he has already made his decision. Su Wen patted Ning Rongrong's head and said. Even so, the others remain vigilant. Find me, Void Daluo said with interest. I believe Senior Void had already made his decision before. Otherwise, you could have acted before Tang Xiao died, Su Wen said calmly. He waved his hand, indicating that this topic was meaningless, and continued, let's get straight to the point. Upon hearing this, Void Daluo's expression turned serious. You are very outstanding. However, I must say, according to the guidance I have received, your path is very difficult. It may even end up fruitless. With your talents, if you do not forge your own path and seek a divine inheritance, your chances of becoming a god are significant. Now he also knew that Su Wen seemed to have an understanding of divine inheritances. He didn't beat around the bush and directly revealed many secrets unknown to most spirit masters. Su Wen's demeanor confirmed this as well. He didn't show any hint of doubt regarding any divine inheritances. Void Daluo stared at Su Wen, waiting for his response. I am more suited to my own path. I won't give up on creating a divine position for myself. However, for success, it's essential to communicate with existing deities. If possible, I would also like to find ways to contact some deities, Su Wen said. Void Daluo's eyes flickered, and the silver mark on his forehead also shimmered. Su Wen waited quietly. You want to accept assessments from other deities, but not the god's assessment, Void Daluo asked slowly. That's right, accepting the god's assessment inevitably comes with time limits. Completing all assessments would lead to godhood, with a minimum timeline. Su Wen didn't believe he could condense his own divine position within such a short time. Could he still create his own divine position after becoming a god? Su Wen felt it was highly unlikely. 64, he had not yet begun any plans to seek a god's inheritance. He did know about Sea God Island and could also find out its location and how to get there through Spirit Hall's channels. However, Su Wen was uncertain whether there would be an opportunity to leave Sea God Island once he arrived, and he feared being forcibly subjected to Sea God's assessment. Perhaps he was too confident, too arrogant, but Su Wen expressed that such considerations about the future should be boldly assumed. Do you know how long it took for the recent individual who successfully condensed a divine position and became a god on Douluo continent on their own? Void Daluo's silver mark on his forehead continued to flicker, as if transmitting some information to him. Su Wen pretended to be puzzled and shook his head. Although he had some understanding from memory, the sources were actually rumors, and Spirit Hall's records were not detailed. Therefore, if he could get exact data from Douluo, he would be very willing. The recent individual who became a god on their own is the sea god. He spent his entire life fighting in the oceans, subduing races one by one, and with the faith of the entire ocean, he broke through to the divine level, Douluo said with reverence. Even if he wasn't a follower of the sea god, the achievements of any deity who wasn't explicitly hostile were worthy of praise. Sea god spent his whole life, a full 1001 years, to achieve the position of deity, Douluo said. Su Wen silently nodded to himself. This information was consistent with what he knew. Over 1,000 years. In today's Douluo continent, the lifespan of tidal Doulus is truly long. Su Wen had learned different versions from various sources, but most versions did not mention that the lifespan of tidal Doulus could be so long. Seemingly sensing Su Wen's contemplation, Douluo explained, in theory, after Spirit Masters break through to tidal Douluo, they have a lifespan of 300 years. Each subsequent level increase adds another 100 years, but after reaching level 95, each level increase can take up to 100 years. The bottleneck from level 98 to 99 might even require 600 years of rigorous cultivation for a chance to break through. However, based on the intelligence I know, shouldn't the lifespan of tidal Doulus be shorter? Su Wen still expressed his doubts. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 219, The Nascent Form of Martial Spirit Essence. As the title suggests, this chapter is a heavy on theories. In Su Wen's memory, the original Douluo Dalu seemed to mention that the lifespan of the tidal Douluo Bosaxi was as Douluo described in this version. Both guardians of the two great deities said so, clearly not without reason. However, according to the current situation in the Spirit Master world, it seems that the lifespan of tidal Douluo is far from reaching the level they described. Douluo was speechless upon hearing Su Wen's account of the different situations of Spirit Hall, 7 Treasure Glazed Tile Sect, and the Wandering Cultivator Douluo. Your lifespan is originally so low? Douluo is also considered to be in seclusion, living year-round within the inheritance space of the Space God, with limited understanding of the continent. Therefore, he actually couldn't provide an explanation to Su Wen. But that doesn't mean the god behind him couldn't provide an explanation. The silver mark on his forehead glowed, and his expression changed from helplessness to sudden realization. Perhaps you haven't observed the situation of secluded tidal Douluo, which is why you have this doubt. With your wisdom, as long as you observe closely, you can actually find the answer, Douluo continued calmly. The secluded cultivation of tidal Douluo is in accordance with their own martial spirit, closely adhering to the direction of their martial spirit. They transform into martial spirits themselves, living through long periods in a state close to that of martial spirits. This is also the reason for their longevity. You mentioned that the lifespan of Spirit Masters recorded in Spirit Hall far exceeds that of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile Sect. Cultivations have their own advantages and disadvantages. There are discrepancies between what he described about the cultivation of tidal Douluo and what Su Wen knows. For instance, after reaching level 95, each breakthrough requires at least 100 years of arduous practice, which clearly does not correspond to Chen Xin's situation. Worldly cultivation makes it easier to gain inspiration, while secluded cultivation is more stable. In theory, even with worldly methods of cultivation, if one encounters enough opportunities, they can quickly gain inspiration and overall cultivation faster. However, reaching the peak of level 99 solely through one's own strength is quite difficult. Despite abundant inspiration, the harmony between the Spirit Master and martial spirit also requires honing. Reaching the pinnacle of level 99 before 100 years old will only be more challenging, yet Tang Chen achieved this. As he spoke further, Douluo's tone became profound. Tang Chen is admired by many not simply because he broke through to level 99 through his own efforts, but also because he achieved this at such a young age, making he truly exceptional. Douluo revealed what he knew. Su Wen slightly upon hearing this, observing Douluo's demeanor and refraining from asking further complicated questions. In fact, with this answer, Su Wen could now speculate on his own and gradually uncover the essence of this issue. Although there was still a major puzzle, Sea God clearly does not count as being worldly, yet seems to enjoy the lifespan of worldly cultivation. However, Su Wen did not press on with further questions. This was obviously not a secret that Douluo should know. Even with his commentary from the sidelines now, The commentator probably couldn't help him answer. Now, topics like the lifespan of spirit masters were not the focus. Senior Void, if I'm not mistaken, you are a guardian of the space god, Su Wen cut to the chase. That's right, I follow the great space god, admitted Void Douluo. I wonder if I can attempt the space god's assessment. Su Wen stared at Void Douluo, watching the flicker of the mark on his forehead. Void Douluo hesitated for a while, then nodded. Space God agrees for you to undergo his assessment, but it won't be a God-level examination. Even if it's just the most ordinary assessment, I would be very satisfied. Su Wen smiled. Space God's assessment may require some time from you. It's better to contact me after you've dealt with matters on the continent, Void Douluo said, leaving behind a small silver-white sword before departing. Su Wen played with his silver-white sword in his hand, sensing the fluctuation of spatial power within it with great interest. At this moment, he began to reflect on the initial question. The lifespan of spirit masters. Worldly or secluded cultivation isn't fundamental. The essence lies in the fusion of the spirit master and the martial spirit. The fundamental question is in what manner to resist the erosion of time. Perhaps, it may also involve changes in the martial spirit of the spirit master. Su Wen remembered reading in the materials that for levels 95 and above, each level up might also trigger martial spirit evolution. In the trilogy he read before crossing over, spanning a time period of 20,000 years, there were few instances where this was clearly evident. But undoubtedly, Spirit Hall could not have made this record out of thin air. So, if the martial spirit of spirit masters, which is inherently fragile, can undergo martial spirit evolution with each upgrade after level 95, does this potentially break certain limits of lifespan? Is there such a possibility? Su Wen's thoughts branched out, considering all the various conditions related to lifespan. At the same time, he also discovered a blind spot. That is, in today's Douluo continent, title Douluo from level 95 to 98 are not clearly defined as Super Douluo. But Su Wen had actually mentioned this title in front of Ningfengzi and others, and they showed no signs of objection, readily accepting the designation. Clearly, while not yet fully settled, there was already a tacit consensus emerging. Was this consensus just discovered, or did it arise with a shift in spirit master cultivation methods, making levels 95 to 98 special? According to Void Douluo's optimal theory, from level 91 to 99, each breakthrough would extend lifespan by 100 years. Clearly, cultivation from level 91 to 99 should be uniform. However, Chen Xin's shared insights on cultivation greatly contradicted this. Beyond level 95, Spirit Master's breakthroughs began to grow increasingly difficult. Su Wen summarized the pattern and put forth a preliminary hypothesis. With the development of the Spirit Master world, the emergence of top-tier martial spirits, and the refinement of martial spirit cultivation, Spirit Masters reaching the level of title Douluo can rely on the strength of their martial spirits to accumulate soul power breakthroughs without focusing on enhancing fusion. However, beyond level 95, the increase in fusion harmony becomes undeniable, thus explaining the increased difficulty in cultivation after level 95. Actually, the difficulty of cultivation in the entire realm of title Douluo is quite high. The fusion degree of martial spirits must be very important, a point Su Wen had recognized long ago. Now it seems that fusion degree may also be related to the lifespan of spirit masters. My thoughts are somewhat confused. During this time, I should open the mountain of books and sea of knowledge to sort out these theories and organize a complete logical system. Su Wen is very insightful, but not omnipotent. Currently, his scattered thoughts are too chaotic, requiring him to spend time organizing them. He also plans to validate these theories with other perspectives and possibly through practical experiments. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 220, Imminent Battle. The day after Su Wen was attacked, a large number of spirit masters from Spirit Hall gathered between these lofty mountains and surrounded the peak where Clear Sky Sect is located, along with the nearby villages. What does Spirit Hall want? The four elders remaining in Clear Sky Sect gathered together, feeling angry at the large number of Spirit Hall personnel surrounding them. The sect master and Old Seven went to the border to hunt down Su Wen. Now is indeed the weakest moment for our Clear Sky Sect, and Spirit Hall seems determined to take action. Second elder sighed. Spirit Hall has actually mobilized so many Spirit Masters. Are they really going to start a full-scale war? Well, let's assess the situation. Before the sect master left, we did make contingency plans. We should proceed according to the original plan, second elder said of the situation. Even if they end up losing, with Clear Sky Sect's current location being easy to defend and difficult to attack, even if Spirit Hall mobilizes twice the number of titled Douluo and Spirit Masters, they won't be able to cause any harm to Clear Sky Sect without paying a heavy price. Unfortunately, the force mobilized by Spirit Hall this time is too large. While they were still discussing, Spirit Masters from Spirit Hall at the foot of the mountain had already launched an attack under the guise of seeking justice for Master Wen. The villages around Clear Sky Sect are being attacked, with any Spirit Masters being killed. Spirit Masters from Spirit Hall have completely surrounded the mountain peaks where Clear Sky Sect is located, along with nearby peaks used as transit points. The figures of Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo rushed out, heading towards the main peak of Clear Sky Sect. Apart from them, the figure of Bibidong also swiftly moved forward. In front of the Clear Sky Sect gate, sensing three powerful auras, the four elders' faces changed drastically. They rushed out of the sect hall and quickly arrived at the sect gate, their expressions grave as they looked at the three figures on the opposite mountain peak. Bibidong, this is where our Clear Sky Sect is located. What are you planning to do here? Chrysanthemum Douluo flicked his finger, his voice sharp. Clear Sky Sect sent two titled Douluo to attack Master Wen, harming the future of the Spirit Master world. Spirit Hall is here this time to seek justice for Master Wen. Honestly, Spirit Hall this time didn't even bother hiding anything and came directly and openly. They're not even worried about how the Spirit Master world will judge Spirit Hall if they completely wipe out Clear Sky Sect now. After all, Wisdom Palace's current influence is too strong. Clear Sky Sect actually sent two titled Douluo to assassinate Su Wen. Not only did they try to kill Su Wen, but they also made their move on Su Wen on his way to the Starluo Empire to build Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge for the Starluo Empire Wisdom Palace. In short, there are too many implications and too much righteousness that can be brought out. Honestly, on the entire continent, there are many Spirit Masters. Stop nonsense talking. If Clear Sky Sect doesn't give the Spirit Master world an explanation today, then Spirit Hall will have to take action, Ghost Douluo said coldly. Spirit Hall, you are too arrogant. Do you really think you represent all the Spirit Masters in the world? There has always been enmity between Clear Sky Sect and Spirit Hall. At this moment, the four elders are angrily rebuking Bibidong and the other two. Their strength is indeed formidable, but if it's just the three of them, Clear Sky Sect can still hold its ground. Moreover, if Spirit Hall is not afraid of heavy losses in battle on these lofty mountains, then let them come and attack. However, just as they finished their angry rebuke, they noticed a figure quietly appearing on the opposite mountain peak. A young man stood with his hands behind his back, dressed plainly yet naturally exuding an aura that made people instinctively want to worship him. Jin Daoliu. Jin Daoliu. You dare to make a move? Second elder glared at Jin Daoliu. According to the agreement left by Tang Chen years ago, neither side was to make a move against each other's affiliated forces. The last time Jin Daoliu appeared, he only forced Clear Sky Sect into seclusion. Now, appearing again, could he be planning to act a second time? Second elder felt extremely heavy-hearted. They were apprehensive. Even if Jin Daoliu appeared without making a move, the oppression he brought was immense. He was a level 99 titled Douluo. Throughout the entire continent, only Tang Chen could compare to him, but Tang Chen had disappeared for decades. Clear Sky Sect had been forced into seclusion for over 10 years in the Spirit Master world, and Tang Chen had not come out to support Clear Sky Sect at this moment. Even members of Clear Sky Sect felt apprehensive. Below the mountain, two formidable auras approached. What? Second elder was startled, looking down to see two figures swiftly ascending, landing behind Jin Daoliu. The soul power fluctuations of these two figures were both above level 95. To be precise, the two who arrived were Azure Luan Douluo, the third worship of Spirit Hall's Consecration Hall, and Mighty Lion Douluo, the fourth worship, both peak level 97 Douluo, also known as Super Douluo. Their arrival completely shattered the hopes of the four elders of Clear Sky Sect. While Jin Daoliu might still be constrained by the past agreement and refrain from acting, these two worships were unrestricted by such constraints. Attack, Bibidong ordered. Third worship and fourth worship looked at Jin Daoliu, who nodded in agreement. Immediately, Chrysanthemum Douluo, Ghost Douluo, and the two priests all released their martial spirits. All four of them were titled Douluo above level 95. In today's continent, Besides those calling them Super Douluo like Su Wen, other factions generally referred to them as Peak Douluo, indicating they stood at the pinnacle of power on the continent. On the side of Clear Sky Sect, however, the 4 elders were much weaker. Only second elder had reached level 94, while the other 3 elders were below level 94. Facing 4 Peak Douluo, they were already at a disadvantage in terms of momentum. Boom! Douluo manifested his martial spirit true body and swiftly charged down from the mountain peak towards the mountain where the gate of Clear Sky Sect was located. His body was shimmering with a dense azure light. Douluo led the way, while the 4th worshipping Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo swiftly leaped between 2 mountain peaks, following closely behind towards the main peak. Insolence, second elder shouted loudly, unleashing the Clear Sky Hammers. Beside him, the other 3 elders also summoned their Clear Sky Hammers. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 221 The Destruction of Clear Sky Sect. The Clear Sky Hammers in the hands of the 4 elders each generated a soul power chain, connecting the 4 of them together. In the air in front of them, a giant Clear Sky Hammer appeared, its pitch-black hammer body emitting terrifying waves. Boom! With a single strike, Douluo's charged attack was intercepted by the hammer. At the same time, Ghost Douluo swiftly traversed the chains like a phantom, quickly arriving in front of the 4 elders. Ghost Douluo transformed into an eerie black mist, seemingly disappearing. He reappeared to the right side of the second elder. In the pitch-black mist, a claw appeared, reaching towards the second elder, his calf, then his waist, driving his entire body to suddenly smash the hammer down. Boom! The claw dispersed into mist and vanished, while Ghost Douluo once again merged into a cloud of mist, waiting for an opportunity. The other 3 elders stepped forward, swinging their Clear Sky Hammers in place, rapidly accumulating the force of 7 strikes, meeting mighty Lion Douluo, who was charging up the mountain to the end of the chain, blazing crimson gold flames. The lion's roar sent waves of sound reverberating across the mountain, making people dizzy. Many disciples at the entrance of Clear Sky Sect felt a powerful impact. Chrysanthemum withers, scattered wounds, flowers fall, people grieve. At this moment, Chrysanthemum Douluo shattered his martial spirit, summoning countless petals. The petals flew like crescent blades, swirling together to form a giant disc. Mighty Lion Douluo was shaken back by the combined force of the 3 Clear Sky Hammers, imbued with the power of 7 disorder-splitting wind strikes. Just as he was about to fall off the cliff, the giant disc flew under his feet. Using this momentum, mighty Lion Douluo leaped up again. This time, he roared furiously. Crimson gold flames shot up into the sky, resembling a small sun. Roar! The lion's roar echoed throughout the entire Clear Sky Sect simultaneously. The lion descended from the air streaks. Boom! After landing, the 3 elders continued to stack the disorder-splitting winds. By the time mighty Lion Douluo's strike fell, they had already accumulated to around 10 hammers. The 3 Clear Sky Hammers collided simultaneously with the 5 sharp beams, producing a thunderous roar. After landing, mighty Lion Douluo quickly charged forward, launching an attack at one of the elders. Bang! He struck with a claw, avoiding a direct clash with the Clear Sky Hammer. Instead, he held back slightly, and just as the elder attempted to continue stacking the Clear Sky Hammer's power, he suddenly exerted force, interrupting the charging process. Opening his lion's mouth, he gathered crimson gold flames and spewed them out, blocking another elder's attack. At the same time, a layer of shimmering light appeared on his body, allowing him to withstand the last elder's Clear Sky Hammer. Roar! He let out a furious roar and, with his other hand, delivered a powerful strike, sending the last elder flying into the air, forcibly disrupting him disorder-splitting winds. At this moment, Yuguan also crossed the chains and landed on the mountain peak, summoning countless petal-like blades. Petals scattered, enveloping the only elder still charging the disorder-splitting winds. Bang! The elder swung the Clear Sky Hammer, spinning once, using the Clear Sky 9 Absolute's defense technique to repel the petals. However, his disorder-splitting winds was also interrupted as a result. This is the reality of the disorder-splitting wind hammer technique in actual combat. This is also why Su Wen did not learn techniques similar to the disorder-splitting wind hammer method or the Stormwind Demon Wolf's 36 successive chops for his self-created spirit skill attacks. Su Wen borrowed the technique of using force against force from the Stormwind Demon Wolf's 36 successive chops to apply it more to deflecting and defending layers defense, while the three elders intercepted the following attacks of Mighty Lion Douluo and Chrysanthemum Douluo. Azure Luan Douluo and Ghost Douluo teamed up and had already severely injured the second elder. Not only was he unable to intercept them, but the second elder also failed to hold back Ghost Douluo and Azure Luan Douluo. At this moment, the power gap was fully evident. The strength of Spirit Hua was indeed terrifying. At this moment, the second elder felt some regret. It was because none of the four of them had learned the Great Sumeru Hammer's Ring Explosion secret technique. They couldn't use Ring Explosion. Now, they were just titled Douluo with powerful martial spirit attacks, unable to use Ring Explosion to fight beyond their level. Previously, when Clear Sky Sect had just reappeared, the main credit for holding off Bibi Dong and her group went to Tang Xiao, who boosted his power by exploding spirit rings, thus repelling Bibi Dong and the others. Now, they deeply understood the difference in strength brought by the level gap. This wasn't something that the sheer power of the Clear Sky Hammer could compensate for. Or rather, among the titled Douluo present, the martial spirits of the two priests and Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo were not inferior to the Clear Sky Hammer. Especially Azure Luan Douluo and Mighty Lion Douluo, whose martial spirits may not have been at their current level of quality when they first became titled Douluo. However, after over 100 years of dedicated cultivation, they had significant steps beyond level 95, achieving more evolutions. Their martial spirits now ranked among the top on the continent. Without top-tier spirit skills, without 100,000-year-old spirit rings and spirit bones, it was nearly impossible to fight beyond their level under such circumstances. Of course, the Ring Explosion secret technique could make it possible. However, even though Tang Xiao had proposed passing the Great Sumeru Hammer to the five elders before him left, it remained just a proposal. The five elders had voluntarily declined at that time. They held the sect's rules in high regard. At this moment, the second elder was beginning to regret it. If they had not insisted on adhering to the sect's rules and had learned the Great Sumeru Hammer, the four of them would not be getting overwhelmed like they were now. Clear Sky Sect would have more opportunities. Now, with the four titled Douluo completely suppressed, Clear Sky Sect was in imminent danger. Outside Suochuo City, at the original dilapidated campus of Shrek Academy, Tang San sat cross-legged, with over a dozen spirit elders and spirit grandmasters tightly bound by blue-silver grass behind him. The abundant toxins paralyzed them, preventing them from using soul power. Tang San's soul power circulated within him, gradually refining the imperfections in the soul power flow of the mysterious heaven skill within them. Compared to before, Tang San now exuded a touch more confidence. Yu Xiaogang noticed this and stepped forward with concern. Xiaogan, how is it? Did you succeed? If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 222, Tang San's Gradual Corruption. Tang San smiled, seemingly very satisfied with his this time. Although forcibly sensing their soul power operation is not completely genuine and complete, it has finally allowed me to further perfect the mysterious heaven technique. Tang San, you're so despicable, stealing the Wisdom Palace's internal strength technique, one of the tied-up spirit elders angrily scolded. Tang San's eyes turned cold. He hated being accused of stealing techniques. You came to kill me, so naturally, I can dispose of you as I wish. As for stealing techniques, where does that come from? Su Wen stole the Clear Sky Sect's Ring Explosion secret technique from me. I'm just returning the favor. As he spoke, the purple-black-blue-silver grass suddenly tightened, with sharp spikes piercing into the other party's body, and the poison erupted. In an instant, the spirit master who scolded Tang San turned black, and his flesh and blood began to fester. The others also began to glare at Tang San. Since you have ill intentions towards us Shrek and are doing things that may cost us our lives, you must be prepared to be tortured after being caught by us. Tang San did not care about the anger of these people and said lightly. He used his soul power to forcefully enter the bodies of these spirit masters, sensed the soul power operation in them, and thus preliminarily pieced together the internal power roots announced by Su Wen in the academy. In fact, what he got were scattered operation roots, but with the capture of so many spirit masters, he basically got the complete internal strength root. However, he did not practice the internal strength completely, but used the internal strength root to perfect his mysterious heaven technique. Teacher, my mysterious heaven skill is now perfected. Even more effective than Su Wen's internal strength? Excellent. Based on someone stuck at a bottleneck can greatly enhance the effect for spirit masters. It's very likely to help them achieve a breakthrough, Tang San said. Previously, although the mysterious heaven technique had excellent effects, it was still imperfect. Now that it's perfected, there's a greater chance for you to break through when cultivating it, as long as you break through to level 30 and obtain a suitable third spirit ring, perhaps even spending several years to obtain the spirit ascension method. You could absorb a third spirit ring that's a grade higher, and you might even have a chance to break through to level 40 in the future. Tang San's words excited Yu Xiaogang. He couldn't contain his excitement. Stuck at level 29 for a lifetime, he finally had the chance to break through. Moreover, what Tang San mentioned about leap level absorption of a spirit ring made him even more excited. Especially the possibility of leap level absorbing a third spirit ring to greatly evolve his martial spirit, giving him a chance to reach level 40. As long as his cultivation speed was fast enough to reach level 40 and absorb a ring beyond his grade, becoming a spirit king might not be impossible. Yu Xiaogang trembled with excitement. Flender stepped forward, supporting Yu Xiaogang's shoulders to steady his emotions. Xiaogang, focus first on completing the mysterious heaven technique. If any spirit masters come after us next, we won't hold back either. We'll seize the spirit ascension method. What Xiaozhen said is all within reach. Yes, Xiaogang, your future potential won't stop at spirit elder. Liu Erlong added. Dai Mubei and the others around focused their gaze on Tang San, waiting for his next words. Tang San smiled faintly as he looked at his companions. Everyone, you've all joined my Tang sect now. I will also impart a mysterious heaven skill to you. With the help of the mysterious heaven skill, our future will not be surpassed by those spirit masters who cultivate the Wisdom Palace's internal strength. Instead, we will excel even further. The mysterious heaven technique is stronger than the Wisdom Palace's internal strength. This was the thing Tang San was most proud of and confident in today. Thank you, third brother, Mo Hongjin exclaimed excitedly. Don't worry, Tang sect will treat every member well, Tang San said calmly. He turned around, his gaze turning cold as he looked at the numerous spirit grandmasters and spirit elders bound by his blue-silver grass. These people are useless now, throughout the bodies of these spirit grandmasters, quickly causing their bodies to decay. Unnoticed by Grandmaster and the others, Tang San took the opportunity to devour the soul power of these spirit masters for the decay caused by the toxins, combined with the purple-black patterns of the blue-silver grass, concealed everything. On the third day of Su Wen's attack, the news of the annihilation of the Clear Sky sect spread throughout the entire continent. At this moment, spirit masters across the continent were shocked, but it did not cause turmoil or disrupt the continent's order. Because Spirit Hall openly and justifiably annihilated the Clear Sky sect, and their reasons for doing so were quite sufficient. In fact, most of those involved in this operation were not directly under Bibi Dong's command, but rather groups from various factions within Spirit Hall. This includes a part that highly praises Master Wen from the Wisdom Palace. For these spirit masters, they are proud of their achievements in this battle. This is the outcome of the attack on Master Wen. In various places across the continent, especially among the many spirit masters currently receiving inheritance in the Wisdom Palace, there is widespread approval. Spirit masters who are not part of spirit master families or sects are gloating over the destruction of such a major sect as the Clear Sky sect, especially as the imbalance in their status has started to become apparent after acquiring profound techniques and theories. Why should major sects dominate? This mentality, at the moment of the Clear Sky sect's annihilation, makes them logically transition from shock and panic to gleeful satisfaction. Meanwhile, spirit masters from various sects and families have started to consider their next moves. 7 major sects, now down to 6. Even if their current strength is insufficient to compete, taking advantage of this opportunity might allow them to gather a large number of talented spirit masters. The dissemination of Wisdom Palace's techniques has brought forth numerous geniuses. Moreover, the talent system advocated by Wisdom Palace nowadays no longer judges solely based on innate soul power, thereby broadening the scope of talent and wait for larger sects to compete. If these major sects end up mutually weakening each other in conflicts, wouldn't it be an opportunity for these smaller factions? Heaven Dao Royal Family. Emperor Ziyi can be said to be the only one dissatisfied with Spirit Hall's actions. Spirit Hall is too arrogant. Actually directly annihilating Clear Sky sect. Clear Sky sect is situated within the Heaven Dao Empire. Even if the balance among the 6 great titles of Clear Sky sect has been disrupted among major sects, leading to a situation where one dominates, there is still Spirit Hall to suppress it. On the contrary, the presence of Clear Sky sect's 6th title Douluo also greatly distracted Spirit Hall's efforts. The two empires have gradually become unable to confront Spirit Hall. At this moment, with the addition of Clear Sky sect, they could once again maintain the balance. However, Spirit Hall acted decisively, and such balance lasted for less than a year before being directly shattered. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 223 The Attitude of the Two Empires. Emperor Su Yi expressed dissatisfaction with Spirit Hall's actions, but soon stopped harping on the issue. Because the downfall of the Clear Sky sect is already in the past. No matter how much he condemns, what difference does it make? Moreover, Spirit Hall's banner is also seeking justice for Master Wen. I didn't expect Su Wen's influence as Master Wen to be so great now, frowned Emperor Su Yi. Yes, Su Wen has established a mountain of books and sea of knowledge in the past year, gradually offending too many people. In today's outbreak, apart from settling the private vendetta with Clear Sky sect, it has also provoked attacks from 3 old Spirit Douluo, 6 Grand Spirit Saints, and even more than 10 Spirit Emperors. This lineup may not be as strong as the Clear Sky sect, excluding the 2 great titled Douluo, but it's still quite impressive. Today, titled Douluo on the continent can be seen as strategic weapons, and there are only a few factions that possess titled Douluo in total. Apart from the top 3 sects and Spirit Hall, the other sects and families, even the strongest ones, only have a Spirit Douluo at most. This places them in the 2nd tier of the continent's elite, excluding the top tier. The destruction of 3 old Spirit Douluo is similar to the collapse of 3 major sects, like the Elephant Armored Clan. The loss of 6 Spirit Saints also signifies the destruction of 6 smaller-scale families. The impact is considerable. However, accompanying their downfall is the once top sect in the world, the Clear Sky sect, which had 6 great titled Douluo. The destruction of these small families and small sects now seems less significant. Emperor Su Yi's gaze revealed a hint of apprehension. It's just an assassination, yet it has made the entire continent's spirit masters so tolerant of the extermination of sects and families. Fortunately, Emperor Su Yi's gaze turned to Prince Zuzing, who was standing to the side with his head bowed, and he snorted coldly. Fortunately, I didn't listen to your advice back then, Your Majesty, please forgive me. Prince Zuzing didn't dare to retort at this moment. He was truly frightened. If their Heaven Dao Empire had really been involved this time, Spirit Hall might not have directly targeted the extermination of the Heaven Dao Empire in the name of seeking justice for Master Wen, but at least they could have aimed to exterminate all of Prince Zuzing's faction. HMPH, fortunately, King stopped it in time, otherwise our Heaven Dao royal family would have been at odds with Su Wen. Clearly, the genius from their Heaven Dao royal family made the right decision. If they had become enemies because of this assassination, Emperor Su Yi would have nowhere to cry. The key is that he was really tempted by Prince Zuzing's words at the beginning. There is no way around it. The situation between the two empires on the continent has become somewhat unbalanced. With Su Wen's Widsome Palace only opening the mountain of books and sea of knowledge on the Heaven Dao side for just 1 year, this balance is slowly being restored. Emperor Zu Yi couldn't help but feel moved. Sigh, I'm still too greedy, Emperor Zu Yi sighed, reclining in his seat, his gaze turning to the sky outside the window. In an instant, he seemed to have aged a lot. Since he's getting old, perhaps he should delegate power early, maintain his achievements, and not ruin a lifetime of reputation for short-term gains. At this moment, Emperor Zu Yi had the thought of transferring power to the Crown Prince ahead of time. He glanced at Prince Zuzing. Although this prince had warned him that something might be wrong with the Crown Prince, Emperor Zu Yi now trusted his younger brother even less. Starluo Empire. In terms of its system, it actually has many similarities to the Heaven Dao Empire. Starluo Empire also has kingdoms that have been and theft won. Moreover, within the Starluo Empire, factions abound. As a royal family cannot claim to be the most powerful family in the entire empire. They are among the top second-tier elite. Each reigning emperor reaches the level of Spirit Emperor or even Spirit Saint during their reign, with some becoming Spirit Douluo after abdicating. Even if an old emperor retires and spends decades in seclusion, they may only achieve Spirit Saint status. However, with the Spirit Fusion technique, they can rival Spirit Douluo levels. Therefore, It can be said that the Dai family always has spirit Douluo presiding over it. Accumulating over time, the Dai family as of the royal family also possesses a large number of spirit bones, which has made its foundation increasingly solid. In each subsequent generation, the likelihood of producing spirit Douluo is greater. With the spirit fusion technique, their ability to deter at the level of tidal Douluo also becomes more enduring over the ages. Nowadays, this kind of deterrent inheritance can almost be maintained steadily. For instance, the current emperor of Starluo, though only a spirit saint, had a father who, as the previous emperor, broke through to the level of spirit Douluo just 10 years ago and is still alive today. Starluo City. Master Wen, you have honored us in Starluo Empire. Dai Wuxi finally showed a relieved expression as he said to Su Wen, my father has already prepared a banquet in the palace to welcome Master Wen. Dai Wuxi glanced at the Heaven Dao Crown Prince, Zhu King, with a narrowing gaze, showing a posture of comparison. Previously, there was still some gap in status, but he faced Zhu King without any sense of inferiority. A prince who was not yet the crown prince himself openly regarded himself equal to the crown prince of another empire. This was due to the disparity in national strength between the two empires. Now, Dai Wuxi has truly been formally appointed as the crown prince, naturally feeling that he holds a higher status compared to Zhu King. Moreover, this is Starluo City. Of course, Zhu King is someone Master Wen brought, so Starluo Empire won't dare to be too excessive. However, some level of suppression is necessary. Noticing Dai Wuxi's gaze, Zhu King sneered inwardly and ignored ha, Master Wen, you've finally arrived. Many spirit masters of Starluo Empire have been eagerly awaiting your arrival. Dai Ji's eyes showed a hint of bitterness. It was true. In the past year, some impatient spirit masters had smuggled themselves into the Heaven Dao Empire just to learn the techniques of the Wisdom Palace earlier. This has also caused some unrest in Starluo Empire. Your Majesty, rest assured, the purpose of Wisdom Palace is to spread knowledge. Wherever in the Spirit Master world, I will do my utmost to establish Wisdom Palaces, Su Wen assured Dai Ji, steering the conversation towards business. I wonder how far the construction of Starluo Empire's Wisdom Palaces has progressed, Su Wen inquired. You can rest assured on this point, Master Wen, Dai Ji replied. In our Starluo Empire, in hundreds of large and small cities, branches of Wisdom Palace have already been established. Near Starluo City, His Majesty personally selected a prime feng shui site and built the largest-scale Wisdom Palace, Dai Wuxi added, explaining further details. Moreover, even before Master Wen established a mountain of books and sea of knowledge, Starluo City had organized many scholars to enter the Wisdom Palace, working with local spirit masters to complete its order. Starluo City's Wisdom Palace has also initiated enrollment for a new generation of scholars, and a group of children has already joined. Although Starluo Empire may appear verbally in a weaker position, its actions are somewhat assertive branches. They have already completed various aspects of managing Wisdom Palace, seemingly well prepared in all aspects, which actually indicates their control over these of Wisdom Palace within the Empire. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 224 Organizing Order. Su Wen's reputation is now very great, and even his status in the hearts of the continent's spirit masters is extremely high. This is also why Dai Ji and Ziyi are wary of him. However, wariness is just wariness. Dai Ji's current attitude is more about ensuring that Su Wen smoothly completes the opening of the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge here in Wisdom Palace. As for the respect to be given after the completion of the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge, it will still be there, but not as abundant. Currently, Spirit Hall and the royal families of the two great empires maintain a friendly attitude towards Su Wen, but they will not go all out to curry favor with him. In their view, while Wisdom Palace may indeed develop into another sacred place on the continent, this possibility is small because it would need to rely on other powers. Just like the two great empires and Spirit Hall. If Wisdom Palace does not rely on them, how can it ensure the overall unity of Wisdom Palace in the future? Currently, Starluo Empire is begging Su Wen to establish the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge, but in the future, Su Wen's Wisdom Palace will need to rely to a certain extent on the Starluo Empire. This is why they exceeded some authority and established order in Wisdom Palace, even before the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge was developed. However, Su Wen is very displeased with this. It's not that he dislikes the show of strength they are giving, but that he dislikes the Starluo royal family controlling the order of his own Wisdom Palace. Wisdom Palace may not compete for hegemony on the continent, may ignore the conflicts of the continent, but the operation of Wisdom Palace cannot tolerate interference. Wisdom Palace's mission is to provide Su Wen with sufficient power of faith, so Wisdom Palace must remain pure. At least until Su Wen breaks through, internal voices within Wisdom Palace must be unified. On this point, Daiji and the others have touched Su Wen's core interests. Your Majesty, let's replan the order of Wisdom Palace after the completion of the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge. Wisdom Palace was established for the Spirit Master world, and it would be better to involve a wide range of Spirit Masters in its operation. Many Wisdom Palaces within the Heaven Dao Empire are also attached to local powers. However, apart from these powers providing manpower, under Su Wen's organization, most of the operation involves ordinary Spirit Masters. Especially some powerful scattered Spirit Masters who have been invited by Su Wen to join Wisdom Palace. Moreover, both the maintenance of order and personnel are on a rotational basis. Currently, the Wisdom Palace of the Starluo Empire, even before it has taken shape, is showing signs of being attached to aristocratic rule, which Su Wen is very dissatisfied with. If this continues, by the time Wisdom Palace is established, won't these branches of Wisdom Palace in Starluo become private study halls for cultivating reserves for various Starluo powers? Oh? Master Wen's words make sense. I have indeed overlooked this. Daiji's expression changed, but he quickly regained composure and smiled. After Master Wen completes the opening of the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge, feel free to reorganize personnel in the local Wisdom Palace and rearrange the order of Wisdom Palace. Although he said this outwardly, in his heart, he was already planning to turn against Su Wen directly after the completion of the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge. Previously, when on the borders of the two great empires, Su Wen's true strength was not widely publicized, because those who witnessed his immense power, apart from his own people, all perished. There was no need for Zhu King to send news to the Heaven Dao Empire, nor was it necessary to inform the Spirit Hall Pope's side. As for the Consecration Hall, they wouldn't be too interested in this matter either. Therefore, she did not disclose it to anyone, and even instructed Meng Shenji not to reveal the details of that battle. She also cautioned Jiang Jun and Jiang Long, the two priests who were secretly following, to try not to leak any information. In Starluo City's Wisdom Palace, Su Wen declined the royal banquet and came here instead. As he looked at the first batch of students recruited into Wisdom Palace, his expression was calm, his gaze deep. They were all children of nobles too. It's not that he rejects the nobility, but the way these students are recruited is shaking the foundation of his Wisdom Palace. Starting today, Starluo City's Wisdom Palace and Heaven Dao City's Wisdom Palace will be the two main headquarters of Wisdom Palace. In alignment with Heaven Dao City's Wisdom Palace, Starluo City's Wisdom Palace will establish 3 halls and 2 departments. As Su Wen spoke, a heavenly book appeared above his head, depicting the world in a book, gathering the 4 major elements. With a rumbling sound, a mountain of books and sea of knowledge was opened by him, dividing levels based on theoretical proficiency, with promotion criteria and titles to be determined. Currently, Heaven Dao City's Wisdom Palace has yet to formally begin operations with its 3 halls, but already has students residing in its 2 departments. As the other main headquarters, Starluo City's Wisdom Palace doesn't need to follow the precedent of Heaven Dao City's Wisdom Palace. Let's proceed with developing the 3 halls first. Upon hearing Su Wen's words, the students present all showed subtle changes in their expressions. They had joined with the intention of gaining power within Wisdom Palace, not to engage in scholarly pursuits. The 3 halls are essentially research departments, focusing on theory, Su Wen explained bluntly. His expression darkened as he looked at the many students present, a sense of oppression filling the air. Did none of you bother to understand the ideals of Wisdom Palace before joining? He asked sharply. Knowledge is power. This has always been my belief and the foundation of Wisdom Palace's future, and theory come from, isn't it, from the diligent research and conclusions of scholars from past generations? The 3 halls are the core of Wisdom Palace. Do any of you have objections? Feeling Su Wen's anger, the young students, none older than 6, sweated nervously. We dare not, Master Wen. We will remember your words and earnestly study and delve into theoretical knowledge to benefit the Spirit Master world and its Grandmasters. Behind Su Wen, Daiwisi, who is accompanying him, had a somewhat displeased expression, with his eyes twitching at the corners. Should he be happy or angry? Su Wen directly arranged this wisdom palace here to have the same status as the first established Heavendao City's wisdom palace. The first to recruit were the students of the two departments over there. Then here cannot lag behind at every step. It must be the first to recruit students for the three halls be interested in theory, but they would never hope to waste their lifelong efforts on theoretical research. Especially their elders behind them would never allow them to focus solely on scholarly pursuits. Even though Su Wen's establishment of Wisdom Palace has invisibly elevated the status of scholars on the continent, it's still not acceptable. In their most stubborn beliefs, power and strength are the most convincing. Su Wen arranged the students here into the three halls. He began to organize the Order of Wisdom Palace. At the same time, instead of rushing to open the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge in other cities, he stayed at Douluo City's Wisdom Palace. After assigning the students to the three halls, he personally held a recruitment event in Douluo City. Many spirit masters who were coming to Wisdom Palace to receive the Spirit Seal and accept inheritance for the opening of the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge also followed the order, each expressing their own intentions. Adults from families or children who had just awakened their martial spirits at the age of 6 could state their wishes when receiving the Spirit Seal. In this way, Su Wen stayed in Douluo City for a full month. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 225, The Gods Behind the Great Spirit Arena. 1 month later, Douluo City's Wisdom Palace had undergone a major transformation. In managing the Order of the Wisdom Palace, Su Wen recruited some independent spirit masters, while also adopting the management model from the Heavendao Empire. Su Wen knew that this management model would soon be forcibly replaced by the nobles. Once the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge in the Wisdom Palace was fully opened, under the Dai family's tacit approval, many nobles would reclaim the management rights of the Wisdom Palace. However, he didn't care. Nowadays, the reason why the Douluo Empire is so powerful is simply because they believe that the Wisdom Palace will inevitably need to rely on them in the future. Spirit Hall also harbors such intentions, but the nobles on the Douluo Empire side are not as urgent as they are. Spirit Hall adopts a policy of appeasement, preparing to patiently wait for the development of the Wisdom Palace. They will wait until Su Wen's control over the Wisdom Palace weakens, and then gradually erode it from various angles and dimensions. Unfortunately, all of this is based on the fact that the Wisdom Palace cannot independently achieve its unity. The force is spread across the entire continent. Now, throughout Douluo land, there are only 3 major powers. One is Spirit Hall, which has unparalleled dominance. This effect clearly results from Spirit Hall's strong foundation and strength. It can even be said to be a fragmented management style. Although the entire Great Spirit Arena is unified, it is very decentralized in management, each operating independently. The last one is Su Wen's Wisdom Palace. Clearly, it's difficult for Wisdom Palace to achieve unified management. Not only is the task itself immensely challenging, but there may also be obstacles from Spirit Hall and the 2 major empires. Even if they are close to Wisdom Palace, Spirit Hall and the Heavendao Empire absolutely do not want another true Holy Land to emerge. Wisdom Palace is good. As a realm-level product driving the development of the Spirit Master world, let it be divided and digested by various major powers like this. Douluo City's Wisdom Palace. Su Wen welcomed a special guest. I wonder how I should address you, from the Great Spirit Arena, titled as Fighting Heaven, a title Douluo, and moreover, a title Douluo from the Great Spirit Arena. In the history of the Spirit Master world, there have been no records titled Douluos from the Great Spirit Arena. Even in the records of Spirit Hall, there is no mention of the Great Spirit Arena having a title Douluo. Or rather, perhaps the high-level members within Spirit Hall know about this, but they have not documented these records within Spirit Hall's archives. In any case, the fact that the Great Spirit Arena has a title Douluo is clearly enough to shake the entire continent. After all, quietly harboring a title Douluo, especially one at the peak of rank 95 or above, is quite formidable. Even the Heavendao royal family doesn't have truly mobilizable title Douluos. If the Great Spirit Arena were to participate in sect rankings, it would likely rank higher than the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan, just with this one title Douluo. Fighting Heaven Douluo. This title suggests formidable strength, and indeed, Su Wen also feels a sense of pressure. The Great Spirit Arena has such a strong trump card. Su Wen sighed. He could feel that around this fighting heaven Douluo, there was a strong aura of power of faith. Obviously, like void Douluo, he was also a guardian of the gods. It has to be said that there are indeed many divine inheritances on Douluo continent. Now, with Su Wen's advancement, one divine inheritance after another is beginning to emerge. He estimated that it wasn't until reaching a certain level of strength that one could come into contact with such information. Haven't you seen Tang Chen, the rank 99 peak Douluo, also seeking divine inheritances? Clearly, before Tang Chen had the idea of becoming a god, he hadn't encountered much information related to the gods. Su Wen speculated that the difference in this regard was due to his wisdom palace. More precisely, it was due to the creation of a divine position. Having the idea of creating divine positions, taking actual actions, having comprehensive planning, and even a high likelihood of success. All these conditions, coupled with Su Wen's proactive approach, led to these divine inheritances opening up one by one, revealing themselves in Su Wen's sight. The depths of the Great Spirit Arena are deeper than you can imagine. I am just one of the worships of the Great Spirit Arena, not the only one, fighting heaven Douluo said meaningfully, glancing at Su Wen. Not the only worship. Su Wen's eyes narrowed slightly as he asked. Are you saying that behind the Great Spirit Arena, there is not just one deity, or are you implying that you have other fellow worshippers of the same god? Su Wen continued, questioning. Douluo looked surprised at Su Wen. It seems you have a good understanding of deities, he remarked, then added directly, behind the Great Spirit Arena, there isn't just one deity like the god of war. Under the alliance of many deities, the Great Spirit Arena was founded, the war god, the god of war. Sensing that Su Wen might not fully comprehend, fighting heaven Douluo stated the full name of the god of war. Su Wen was indeed speechless. So, the inheritance of the god of war is actually in the Great Spirit Arena? The god of war, and other deities, could there also be a god of speed? Su Wen asked. Fighting heaven Douluo was stunned, looking at Su Wen with a strangely intense gaze. How did you know? He asked. Su Wen remained silent. I also guessed that behind the Great Spirit Arena, there might be a god of defense, god of gambling, or god of wealth, Su Wen casually remarked. But suddenly, he fell silent because fighting heaven Douluo's expression turned even more astonished, as if he had seen a ghost. How did you guess that? Fighting heaven Douluo asked, looking bewildered. Su Wen didn't want to answer such a naive question from fighting heaven Douluo. Since the Great Spirit Arena was co-founded by multiple deities, its purpose obviously revolves around fulfilling the duty of gathering faith has various roles like gambling. Scratching the back of his head, fighting heaven Douluo felt he had asked some rather unproductive questions. I didn't expect so many deities to be involved behind the Great Spirit Arena, Su Wen murmured. With so many deities involved, how much fleece could be obtained? But then, Su Wen abandoned this thought. Second-tier gods probably wouldn't yield much profit. However, pooling together a few second-tier gods should still be enough to fleece a god-granted spirit ring. Su Wen pondered. He still had 3 spirit ring vacancies. One from the space god, one from the various gods behind the Great Spirit Arena, making 2 god-granted spirit rings. As for the last one, there was no need to rush. Perhaps finding a spirit ring from a beast on the continent at the 200,000 to 300,000 a year level that suited Su Wen was challenging, but there were many super strong ones over 700,000 to 800,000 a year that did. After all, the few major spirit beasts that can grow to that level have abilities that are compatible with too many martial spirits. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.